charges include fixed monthly fees of under 109 Rand for single-phase connections and over 200 Rand for three-phase connections. Mongezi Koko is in Tembisa and joins us now live. Mongezi, what are you seeing on the ground right now?
So police are continuing to fire rubber bullets periodically to disperse crowds which have gathered to block roads. Now the streets are littered with rocks, broken glass and rubble, while plumes of smoke rise from tires that residents continue to set ablaze. Elderly residents sit on the pavements, clapping and singing struggle songs as younger men and women add more debris to the barricades. Now, Swiso residents tell EWN their frustration stems from what they call unaffordable electricity, describing the fixed monthly fees and double-digit tariff increases as an insult to an already struggling community. Swiso, for now, officers remain at a distance, but residents show no sign of backing down. Mongezi Koko, Eyewitness News, reporting live from Tembisa.
Some survivors of the George building collapse say they are happy with Public Works Minister Dean McPherson's assurances that those responsible for the tragedy will be held accountable. McPherson told them over the weekend and met them to present reports from the Council for the Built Environment and the Engineering Council of South Africa. Both entities investigated systemic failures that led to the multi-story building collapse, which claimed the lives of 34 construction workers in May last year. They found negligence and flouting of building regulations on the parts of the building developer, contractor and engineer on site. Ntutuzelo Nene reports.
Shadrach Maine is one of 28 artisans who were pulled alive from under 6,000 tons of rubble at 75 Victoria Road. Maine, who lost both his left arm and leg in the tragedy, has told Eyewitness News that he hopes the minister will keep his word.
We are struggling, can't find food, so I'm too happy the minister promised us that, guys, everything is going to go right.
Delvin Safer spent 28 hours trapped in the rubble. His father, Dion Safer, says that incident still haunts his son. Ndutuzelo Nene, Eyewitness News.
ANC Secretary General Thabile Mdluli believes there's still enough time to negotiate with its partners to ensure that the national budget is passed this week. The party finds itself at another crossroads with its main governing partner, the DA, over its handling of ministers who are facing corruption allegations. Speaking on the sidelines of a National Working Committee meeting in Cape Town yesterday, Mdluli said the lobbying had already begun to resolve the impasse. In retaliation for the firing of Andrew Whitfield as Deputy Minister of Trade, the DA said last month it won't support the budget votes of departments with compromised ministers at the helm. Lindsay Dentlinga reports.
While the DA takes another hard stance on the budget process, this time on a political rather than a financial matter, the ANC finds itself in a tight spot to get over the final budget hurdle. The appropriations bill allocates money to all state departments. On Friday, the Standing Committee on Appropriations finalized its report to be submitted to the House ahead of the bill being put to the vote on Wednesday, but said it was not its job to resolve political disputes. ANC Secretary General Thabile Mdluli remains optimistic a majority vote can still be achieved.
The engagement will be on with political parties between now and Wednesday in terms of ensuring that we pass the appropriation.
Mdluli has dismissed leaving the talks to the last minute.
No, we are not late. As of now and today, we are talking to everyone. So that's what is important.
In terms of National Assembly rules, if a bill is rejected, it can't be put to the House a second time in a single year unless the House resolves otherwise. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News.
And the International Relations Department says it's unable to assist a team of young South African soccer players stranded in Portugal. The trip's organizers ran out of money to cover for return flights from a sporting tournament held in Spain. The soccer club left for San Sebastian Airport about 2 weeks ago from Cape Town. They were expected to return home last week Monday, but parents have been told that the return flights had not been booked because of a funding gap. The department spokesperson, Crispin Perry, has urged the public to assist if they have financial means. Jabulile Mbata reports.
The group of players consist of under 14 boys, under 19 boys and under 19 girls who were accompanied by 4 coaches at the Donosti Cup tournament in Spain. The tournament features 800 teams from 20 different countries and is regarded as one of the most prestigious in the world. The parents paid 50,000 rand for a package inclusive of flights, accommodation, food, transport, visas, flight insurance and team kits, but a higher airfare cost more than the budget. According to some parents, the organizers requested an additional 15,000 rand to cover the gap. The Department of Sports, Arts and Culture in the Western Cape says they are aware of the issue and have escalated it to national. Department spokesperson Tanya Collin.
We are in constant communication with the relevant stakeholders to ensure that the young players can return home safely as soon as possible.
The organizers have not responded to EWN's request for comment after several attempts. Jabuli Lembata, Eyewitness News.
Gold is trading at $3,370.17 an ounce. The rand is at 17.67 to the dollar, 23.75 to the pound, 20.57 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $69.54 a barrel.
Getting into your roads, there's an incident that's resulted in a stationary vehicle on the N12 westbound. This is after Kamara Street. Then, as heard in EWN News, with the roads being affected in Tembisa, these include Link Road, Samulele Drive, Brian Mazibuko Drive, as well as George Nyanga Drive. This is going to be a developing story throughout the morning. Taxis are affected in the region, along with Harambe BRT services being suspended.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 16 and 18 degrees. The developing story in EWN this hour. 2 police vehicles have been damaged during running battles between officers and protesters in Tembisa over service delivery protests.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app. Entries to the 702 Walk the Talk are open. Go to primemediaplus.com to get your tickets today.
You're with Clement Manyathela
On 702.
Let's Walk the Talk, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app,
DSTV channel 856,
92.7 and 106 FM.
Eight minutes after 9 o'clock. Dumelang, happy Monday. Welcome to the Clement Manyathela Show. It's great to have you with us here on 702. I hope you had a wonderful weekend, and I hope that you're going to have a wonderful week ahead. Hello. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can go to the 702 YouTube page if you want to watch and listen to the show right at the same time. Here's a question. Is former President Jacob Zuma supporting the oppression of Western Sahara by Morocco for financial gains? Does the MK party believe that Western Sahara should be a Bantustan? These are the questions that some people are asking themselves after the former president went to Rabat last week in Morocco, met with the Moroccan foreign minister, and announced his party's official recognition of Morocco's sovereignty over Western Sahara. And I wonder what your thoughts are on this one, given that Jacob Zuma was part of the African National Congress, which supported the self-determination of Western Sahara. Your thoughts on that, please, on 011-883-0702. The Eswatini government, though, has also accepted individuals classified as violent criminals from the US as part of a third country deportation deal. So the US has sent out these prisoners to countries like Eswatini, right? This is a group of men originally from countries like Vietnam, Jamaica, Cuba, Yemen, and they were deported from the US to Eswatini. These are people who were convicted of serious offenses, including murder, aggravated assault, gang-related crimes, and child rape. Now, Eswatini has to now facilitate the deportation of these people who are coming from America to their own countries. But what happens when their own countries say, we don't want those people here? Are they going to be stuck with Eswatini? I spoke to the spokesperson of the Eswatini government. I'll play you that interview. It appears they don't really have all the information. They don't know what would happen if the countries that they're supposed to send these criminals to say, we don't want them. They don't know what they're going to do. Because the US has not done so. The US is using them to facilitate for the return of these criminals as they're being deported to their own country. So what's the plan there? What's in it really for Eswatini? You'll find out when I play that conversation with the spokesperson of the Eswatini government during the open line before we wrap up at 10. And then at 10 o'clock after the news, we are going to speak to the chair of the Portfolio Committee on Higher Education about the Minister of Higher Education, Nkabane. Honestly, she has shown Parliament the middle finger several times now. And when she's not lying to Parliament, she's disrespectful towards MPs who are constitutionally obligated to hold her accountable. When she's not doing any of that, she simply doesn't show up in Parliament. She was meant to be in Parliament on Friday. She didn't show up. She chose to go to the Eastern Cape and attend another event. And the question you've got to ask is, at what point is the president going to realize that this woman is not only disrespecting Parliament, but she's disrespecting the president? I mean, the president was not happy with the fact that she was showing that attitude she showed to Parliament. The president already said that she expects her to respect Parliament. I mean, how many times has she apologized to members of the public? The president stopped her from flying to China just last week. And here she is, still not respecting Parliament. So we'll speak to the chair of the Portfolio Committee on Higher Education, because they had a meeting on Friday and she didn't show up. At 10:30, we're going to spend some time looking at a successful land restitution case. This is part of the series we started a couple of weeks ago, where we bring in some of these cases that are successful to understand that what happened when their land was dispossessed. How did they claim it back? How have they used that land now as a source of empowerment and pride for the community? And as I said, I want us to highlight those pockets of success because, yes, we often criticize government for the slow land restitution program, but that doesn't mean that there are no pockets of success. And we have an opportunity here to speak to some of the cases that have been successful. I think that encourages other people as well who are still waiting to claim back their land. So today we're going to be talking about the Matsamo Communal Property Association. It owns various farms covering just over 14,000 hectares of land within the Nkomazi local municipality in the Mpumalanga province. So they'll speak to us about what happened when the community was dispossessed. When did they get their land back? How was the claim process for them? And how are they benefiting as the community from that piece of land now? And then at 11 o'clock, we're going to do our Family Matters feature. Today, we're discussing the importance of accountability in self-development. Do you have an accountability partner? How do you hold yourself accountable? Because that's quite a crucial aspect of personal development. You are helped to stay focused when you hold yourself accountable. It encourages self-reflection. It builds self-confidence, increases productivity, and of course, it strengthens relationships. So we're going to talk about the importance of accountability on our Family Matters feature at 11 o'clock. That's the show coming up over the next 3 hours.
Clement Manyathela, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Baby, Mora man, Flores here from the Western Cape. Jacob Zuma is definitely looking for funding, man, and now he is supporting Morocco. Yeah, I thought that this guy went to support Banyana with his flag. just to be surprised to see that they end up speaking to the foreign ministry of Morocco. So absolutely, this is all about money with the upcoming 2029 national elections. Have a good show. Bye-bye.
Yeah, that's really the question a lot of us have. It just doesn't make sense, really, how the former president of the MK party has moved here. So does the MK party believe that the Western Sahara should be a Bantustan? So here's some context. The former president was in Rabat on Tuesday, I think, sometime last week. He met with the Moroccan officials and announced his party's official recognition of Morocco's sovereignty over the Western Sahara. Now, the ANC is upset because Zuma used the South African flag when he was meeting with the Moroccan officials. The ANC says Zuma shouldn't have inflicted, in fact, used SA symbols in a partisan activity like that is hosted by foreign powers. That's what the ANC says. So they believe that was misleading and part of an agenda of foreign interference. I mean, if the former president was there wearing MK party regalia or with the MK party, flag, if they have any, then that's fine. The ANC says, why use the South African flag like that? As if you are some state president or a representative of the South African government. Now, I don't know how much you know about Morocco, and maybe what I should do is bring in an analyst who can give us a little bit of context around what the genesis of this conflict currently unfolding, where the genesis is, right? Morocco considers Western Sahara an integral part of its kingdom, while you have the Polisario Front, which represents the Sahrawi people. They are seeking independence from Morocco. And this dates back to the 1970s when Spain left the Western Sahara as colonialism was falling. Morocco and Mauritania then divided the region among themselves. And conflict ensued. Mauritania withdrew. The Polisario Front has been fighting since then for self-determination and seeking to establish an independent state. That's why those that are opposing Morocco's territorial claims often consider Western Sahara to be the last colony in Africa, and the Polisario Front the sole legitimate representative of the Sahrawi people. So there are countries that have supported Morocco, right? Like you've got people like countries like the US, Spain, Israel, France. They've recognized Morocco's annexation of Western Sahara. In fact, when the US did it, they did it in return for Morocco normalizing ties with Israel. So these countries back Morocco's autonomy plan, and now Zuma has just joined them. I mean, Morocco has been occupying Western Sahara since 1975. It controls 2/3 of the territory, while the Polisario Front governs the remaining area. Back in 1991, both Morocco and the Polisario Front were seeking at solutions if we're going to get to a place where there's a self-determination for the Western Sahara. And they agreed to a United Nations brokered ceasefire in anticipation of a referendum on self-determination. And yet, Morocco has rejected holding a vote on self-determination that would include independence as an option. So that's what the issue has been. Now, I'm going to play you a clip of the former President Jacob Zuma speaking about this conflict. This is back in the day when he was still president of South Africa. Now, this is when he was hosting, and you must listen to what he says there. But at the time, he was hosting President Brahim Ghali of the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic, where he condemned Morocco as a colonial state and emphasized the need for the independence and respect of sovereignty of the SADR, calling for the United Nations to act on its resolutions. This was President Zuma back in the time when he was head of state.
Them for many years. We are still with them. We'll continue to be with them because we believe that every country must have its own self-determination, and we are therefore very clear that we should be calling upon the UN to implement its resolution.
So you can see there, he is declaring support for the Western Sahara. He was calling for the United Nations to ensure that the resolutions that it's had are actually respected and enforced. Since he has joined the MK party and he formed this organization, his positioning has clearly changed. Listen to what he has said now through the MK party's head of the presidency, Nkabane Mdluli, who was there with him in Morocco, meeting with the Moroccan officials.
We recall that our great leader, former President Nelson Mandela, trained in Morocco, Oujda, in 1962 and received financial and military support that was extended to the liberation movement in South Africa and the continent. This also comes as a natural continuation of the historical meeting President Zuma had with His Majesty King Mohammed V in 2017 during the AU summit in Cote d'Ivoire. That meeting entrenched the new impetus to the bilateral relationship between our two countries, South Africa and Morocco. During this meeting between President Zuma and His Majesty, the two leaders agreed to find ways of ending the stalemate between the two countries and the relaunching of a new chapter of the bilateral relations resulting in the exchange of ambassadors. The relationship between our two countries has a great potential for greatness. For that reason, the MK party has put forward a policy position aimed at bringing about practical solution to the long-standing debacle on the future of the Sahara region. The document released by Mkondo Wesizwe is named a Strategic Partnership for African Unity, Economic Emancipation and Territorial Integrity. In this document, our party touched all the essential elements that will conduce a new impetus to the bilateral relations in order to achieve a mutual interest of our two nations while striving to achieve a model of African excellence. Looking at the geopolitics of the world and the agenda of balkanization aimed at weakening our continent, our party, Mkondo Wesizwe Party, has since its inception committed itself to preserving the sovereignty, the unity of African state.
That's what Nkabane Mdluli says. In fact, when you look at the papers that they've released, you see their positioning as the MK party on the situation in Morocco. So that's why there are so many questions that are being asked now about why the former president has decided to go meet with Moroccan officials and, of course, seemingly agree on their autonomy plan, right? Why would the MK party adopt a policy positioning that supports the proposal put by the Kingdom of Morocco to grant the Western Sahara autonomy as opposed to outright independence? What has changed in the former president's views? When he was still president and he was in the ANC, he was against Morocco and their continued annexation of the Western Sahara. But that positioning has changed now. What do you think is behind that? And let's not forget what Floyd Shivambu had said. Remember, when he was leaving the MK party, he said that the MK party wanted to receive or was already receiving monies from Morocco in exchange for a position that would support its autonomy over the Western Sahara. What does that tell you about a politician like that who's able to flip and flop and change positions like that on foreign policy, positions that involve the suppression and the rights of other people for self-determination? But that is a position they championed for when they were president.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Okay, so you're calling from the East End. What are your thoughts?
Yes, morning, Clement. I hope you had a good weekend.
Sure, I did.
Yeah,
Thank you.
no, Clement, my thoughts on this are simply like, you need to see the story in context, right? So apparently, I recently read somewhere now that apparently during apartheid, the apartheid days, ANC used to receive money from the Polisario Front, they used to get money. So when they then became the government, this is why they took this stance of like self-determination and everything, because they were actually directly being funded by these people, right? So we also need to look and say, is it in the best interest in terms of our country and where it is, in terms of the positioning of Africa, for us to be backing this Western Sahara agenda? And I'll tell you why, right? If you look at Morocco and how Morocco has developed a lot over the years, Morocco doesn't have democracy. Morocco has a king. And that king has been very decisive. Similar to like how in Singapore they had that one leader who was very decisive, took very important policy decisions to change society and advance and progress society. So, when you look at how Africa is now going, it's almost like there's this battle between should we take the democracy for development, or should we have that one leader who's very decisive, who can then be there to advance the country? So I think it's almost like it's a wider battle to do with that, where now MK is trying to say that if the Polisario Front is already aligned with the ANC, what's the point? Let's give people a different offering and align with the King of Morocco. Because the King of Morocco gives a very different perspective and an offering of how Africa could look like if Africa has a single leader who's there for many, many years and then, advances development. Versus having these democratic elections, which sometimes they're sabotaged by people and they're sabotaged by NGOs and foreign elements. So it's almost like I feel like Africa now, we're at such an interesting point in terms of where do we want to go in terms of our development as citizens, because we've had 30 years of ANC rule, right? And ANC's foreign policy, if you look at it, hasn't always been coherent, Clement. Let's be honest. It's always been very all over the show, and it's always sort of being very inconsistent with who are they bedfellows with. So, for instance, I'll give you an example. We are with America, but yet we're not with America. Right, so they're with America in certain aspects, but other aspects they deviate and they're not with America. So this almost like middle of the road foreign policy has also brought about a lot of confusion. Yeah. And that's why you see now it's almost like I think it's coming to a head where the world is moving to a point where either you're with this person or you're not with this person. You can't be middle of the road.
Yeah, got it. Koketso in the Eastern. Thank you.
Good morning, Clemmy, and the good, wonderful team there. It is unfortunate that Jacob Zuma has spent the rest of his life, or most of his life, fighting for fairness, freedom, and all those things. Now, the problem with the former president is he is surrounded by wrong people who are using him. At his age, the man, I don't think he thinks properly. Thanks, William Pretoria.
Good morning, Clement. What Jacob Zuma is doing right now, he's just trying to piss off Ramaphosa as much as possible. You see the statement that was released, the MK party released at the weekend, effectively calling for the resignation of Cyril Ramaphosa. So the idea here is to frustrate his government as much as possible. All attempts have failed ever since that conference, that 2017 conference. They've essentially been just looking for a way to just usurp the government. We saw the July unrest. He's not happy with this government. He felt he was robbed. So this is just a way to, on what mandate, in what capacity is he going to Morocco? Prince, in Bedford View.
And he's allowed to go to Morocco as the MK party leader. And yes, he went there to represent the leadership of the MK party. But the way that briefing was set up was just weird. Like normally that setup is for when there are, heads of states meeting. When you put up flags like that, it's normally like that's a setup of when you've got a government hosting a leader or a representative of another government. And that's why the ANC says this is somehow also interference in foreign policy, and it's also quite misleading. So, yeah, the central issue here remains the right of the Sahrawi people to decide their own future through a referendum or other means. Morocco controls the majority of Western Sahara, including its population centers and economic resources. And let's not forget that Western Sahara is rich in phosphate deposits and has potential offshore oil reserves, which then makes the territory economically significant. And that's why you are going to have these external players as well. So what are your thoughts? Do you think this decision by Zuma in the MK party is a betrayal of South Africa's core values? Do you think Zuma now is effectively turning his back on the Sahrawi people's yearning for freedom? So some people believe that he's doing all of this for Moroccan money. What do you think? 011-883-0702. More of your calls and WhatsApps after the headlines. Swiso, good morning.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. The ANC in Ekurhuleni has committed to finding a solution to the electricity tariff hike dispute, which has led to demonstrations in Tembisa. Mayor Dr. Xhakaza has called an emergency meeting this morning with the Departments of Energy and Finance to consider a new solution to the tariffs. Residents have blocked roads with burning tires, rocks and debris in a protest that started last night against the tariff hikes. EFF leader Julius Malema is back in the Eastern Cape Magistrates Court, where closing arguments will be heard in his firearm discharge trial. Malema is accused of firing a gun on stage at a rally in Dantsane in 2018. His security official, Adrian Snyman, is accused of giving him the alleged weapon and will also be back in the dock with Malema this morning. And the International Relations Department says it's unable to assist a team of young South African soccer players stranded in Portugal. The trip's organizers ran out of money to cover for return flights from a sporting tournament held in Spain. The soccer club left for San Sebastian Airport about 2 weeks ago from Cape Town. They were expected to return home on Monday. And those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 10 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Jumping into your roads, there's a stationary vehicle on the M1 southbound. This is after Malibongwe Drive emergency lane has been closed. Then there's an incident on Pretoria Main Road, the N1 northbound after Allendale Road off-ramp. If we're looking at your major lights out, Rand Park Ridge is seeing the N1 South and Bears Nordia, N1 South at the Malibongwe interchange. And then speaking of Malibongwe, it is currently out at Boundary, Epsom and Mahogany currently. Got another update coming through. If I've missed anything, you can always let me know on at EWN Traffic. I am Matt Flax.
There's more EWN on air, online and on the EWN app.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
Protest action by some of your pilots. Those flights are going to take off on time, aren't they?
Unfortunately, this morning we have to confirm that there are a number of flights which have to be cancelled as a result of the fact that there were several pilots last night at the 11th hour who did pull out after having confirmed their availability to fly.
Another element of a dispute pertains to the rostering system that you have operating.
Yes, the system that we have implemented is exactly the same as the system available on every other airline in South Africa and most global airlines around the world.
Kirby Gordon is the Chief Marketing Manager for Flights FM.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
Proudly, South African brings the energy to the 702 Walk the Talk on Sunday, the 27th of July at Freedom Park in Tshwane. Swing by their lively water station where mascot Lolo Warona will keep spirits high with his signature dance moves as thousands walk with purpose. It's a reminder that buying local fuels small businesses and helps create jobs. Every 10 counts, every swipe matters. Support South African made products and help build a stronger economy. Vote with your wallet. Buy local to create jobs.
Food Lovers Market's famous Winter Carnival is almost here, and it's going to be bigger than ever. This winter, we're bringing you the biggest deals of the season on everything you need, from fresh to butchery to all your pantry essentials, and so much more. Don't miss out on amazing value. Food Lovers Market Winter Carnival, valid from Thursday 24 July to Sunday 3 August. Visit our website and follow us on social media for more.
The Dis-Chem Million Comforts campaign celebrates 10 years of keeping girls in school thanks to your amazing support. Help us care for more girls this year. Simply purchase sanitary pads from participating brands and place them in the Million Comforts bins in-store or donate online, and these brands will match your donation. You have until 17 August to make a difference in a girl child's life. Schoolgirls should never miss a period just because they're having one. The Dis-Chem Foundation, caring for the community.
At Bright, we don't just provide business insurance, we insure your business's
future success.
Because your business is so much more than desks and computers and equipment, which is why we use our specialist expertise to tailor solutions for each client differently to ensure what's really important. So insure your businesses.
Financial security, BT.
With Bright today, contact your broker or go to brightinsure.co.za to find out more. Bright, approach risk with purpose. Bright is a licensed insurer and authorized FSP.
Some walks are just for exercise, others for leisure. But this walk is for something greater.
It's team building.
This July, you won't just take a step, you'll take a stand. You'll walk through history. You'll walk with it. On Sunday, 27 July, the 702 Walk the Talk, hosted by Freedom Park in the city of Tshwane, returns. It's a route that winds through the heart and soul of our capital city. From the sacred grounds of Freedom Park to the powerful steps of the Union Buildings. Choose the 8 kilometer for those walking strong, the 6.7 kilometer in honor of Mandela Month, or the 4 kilometer for families and first-timers. Entries are 360 Rand for adults, 200 Rand for children under 12. Enter now on primemediaplus.com. 702 Walk the Talk, hosted by Freedom Park in the city of Tshwane, is where footsteps become footprints.
Your voice,
Your station.
your open line
Walk the Talk with Clement Manyathela.
on 702.
23 minutes before 10 o'clock. Stanley, you're in Randfontein. Welcome to the 702 Open Line. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Clement.
Sure.
I think there's a saying which goes like, where the rule of law ends, anarchy begins. I think Zuma and the MK, they are out to undo most of the gains that we have achieved as a country. And the main aim or the main target here is Cyril. Now, you look at the way he presented himself, like a statesman, like a president of some sort. And you take that, Clement, to link it to what happened at KZN with the general.
Yes.
The same strategy to say this is, in actual fact, in their minds, this is the government in waiting. And they will do anything and everything to upset the government of the day. And these are the beginning, the signs of what's going to happen in the future. Zuma is bitter to the core. At that age, he's so bitter. So he will do anything and everything to discredit the government of the day.
Yeah, it's actually quite scary, Stanley, thinking about it. Here's some WhatsApp voice notes.
Hi, Clement, Anonymous here. It's simple. Zuma went to Morocco. He knows very well Morocco is close to America. Zuma wants to go to America, like the AfriForum and all that. So Zuma wants to be part of America, but through Morocco. Finish and clear. We must look at the politics of South Africa. Mark my words. Incoming years or months, it will reveal itself. Thank you.
Good morning, Clement and the 702 listeners. The position on this one, my position on this one is that at the time, Jacob Zuma was the president of the ANC and the South African government as a president, but then those views, it was not his sole decision alone. He has to abide by the policies of the party and so forth. Now, because he has his own party, obviously the views will change. It's not like he's flip-flopping. He was representing the masses at the time. Right now, he represents Mkhonto weSizwe and the party as the official opposition as well. This is their stance and so forth. So let it be it. But yes, in terms of using the South African flag, that is problematic. But they have the right to do that as well.
Morning, Clement. It's Mandla here in Buhle Park. You know, I think each and every political party thinks for themselves. When DA, PA, and others go to Israel, whose flag do they use? South African or their own flag? when ANC engage Russia or engage about the issue of Gaza, whose flag do they use, ANC or South African flag? Because remember, ANC is no longer a majority. They are no longer a government, but they are in a unity with other political parties with different policies. So MK is just doing the same. Thank you.
Morning, Clement. It's Tabo from Kruger's up here. I've just got a very short question. Isn't it that presidents or former presidents they have this benefit of receiving the lifetime salary as the presidential benefits? And if that's the case, I think Zuma's benefits as the president or a former president should be withdrawn or should be cancelled or should be just called off, because he is now using the country's flag and name to do the direct opposite of this government, what this government is standing for. So I think he should be stripped the rights of the presidential benefits immediately.
Yeah, so we have to check. I think the other listener makes a fair point about other political parties. Like, for instance, when the ANC was meeting with, was it meeting with Iranian officials or, but it met with Iran a couple of months ago, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Would they also put the South African flag behind them? I have not seen that, right? But if that is the case, we should also call that out. Imagine the DA arriving there in the US and they're speaking there as if they represent our government. I mean, the way the former president, if you check the video, at the press briefing after their bilateral negotiations, I mean, it just looks weird. He's speaking there as if he's the head of state. Behind him, a South African flag and a Moroccan flag, and he's wearing a suit. He's not wearing any MK colors. He's wearing a suit. He is presenting as if he is the head of state. It just looks so weird. And I think that is just so misleading on a number of levels. And equally so, if there are other political parties that have used a flag like that when they were discussing issues with other foreign governments or officials from those governments, that should also be called out, especially where it's not clearly stipulated that they are not representing the state. You don't want to mislead people like that. Somi, you are calling from Senton. Hi.
Hello.
Hi, Somi. Go ahead.
Yes, it's two things. My take is that if he, like Shivandi said, he has been offered money. That is very important to him. You give him money, he will do anything. Mr. Zuma. And secondly, he still sees himself as the president of the country. He never really got over empty out. That's all I have to say.
All right, Somi, in Senton, thank you for your call. She speaks about how Zuma is doing this for money. Here's some context. Remember what Floyd Shivambu said after he was fired as the Secretary General of the MK Party. He held a press briefing and he made this claim about the MK Party in Morocco.
The Moroccan embassy wanted to buy the position of MK to say that MK should support Morocco's operation over Western Sahara. And then there are those closer to him who visited Morocco, were promised money, and then they came back and said MK must agree with Morocco's operation of Western Sahara. Then when he realizes that they won't understand this, then he called me into the meeting. Then said to the Moroccan ambassador and political secretary that we are not going to agree with you. If we are going to have engagements with the Kingdom of Morocco, we must talk to the SADR here and the Polisario Front, which is the liberation movement fighting for the liberation of Western Sahara. And then we agreed on that principled positions. I wrote a letter on the 27th of March to the Polisario Front to say that the president will engage with you before he engages with Morocco, because it's now 50 years since the operation got to happen over Western Sahara by Morocco. And you saw what happened. Immediately we were suspended. What is that? Not suspended, that thing of redeployed. Then the Moroccan government issued a statement which is undersigned by Mkhonto Wesizwe to say that Mkhonto Wesizwe supports its oppression over Western Sahara. No meeting to discuss that, no national high command, no officials. Someone just says, and the people who did that, it's those who went to Morocco. Like, that is basically the whole thing. Like, there's no, and in the official record, in the minutes of the National High Command, is that President Zuma is going to mediate a discussion between Western Sahara Liberation Forces and Morocco to find a settlement. It has been going in for a very long time. But after, immediately we leave because they couldn't do that in our presence, obviously. They couldn't. Then they saw an opportunity that, yeah, now we're going to maybe press that jukebox or to sing for us.
So, did Floyd Shivambu have a point here? Is the MK party doing this in exchange for money? Did Morocco give money to the MK party in exchange for the party's stance in favor of Morocco's position on the Western Sahara dispute? Because parties also can't be receiving donations from foreign governments, right, except for training and development. So you've got to wonder, why are they doing this? And was there an exchange of money? And we've been checking, by the way, some of the meetings the ANC has had with other, like even when they met with the Iranians, we only see these ANC banners. You don't see the ANC putting a South African flag there. So what gives Zuma the authority and the right to do that and create this impression that I'm here as a former head of state of South Africa and we're negotiating with a foreign state? This is all bizarre. It's 13 minutes before 10.
Dear Journal, trying to be an adult at 3,469. Just had a fantastic 2-hour meeting. It was so productive that we accomplished nearly as much as I could have done with one well-written email.
Hating the corporate 9 to 5? Get covered at pineapple.co.za. It's easy and like 19 Rand a day, so it's 100% the insurance for you. Underwritten by Old Mutual Alternative Risk Transfer Insurer Limited, licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. Premiums are risk profile dependent.
Future Life will be at this year's 702 Walk the Talk, supporting active lifestyles with a taste of smart nutrition for life. You can enjoy samples of Future Life, smart foods and bars, nutritious, high in protein, and packed with 19 essential vitamins and minerals. It's the perfect fuel for those always on the move. Convenient, delicious, and made for life in motion. Future Life, smart nutrition for life.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We're also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comment, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we're not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission, PO Box 412365, Craig Hall 2024. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
Looking for real ways to start living greener? Well, don't miss Green Tip of the Week, your weekly dose of sustainable inspiration from eco-entrepreneurs to climate champions. We sit down with the people making real change. Catch Green Tip of the Week every Tuesday on Afternoon Drive with John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m. only on 702. Proudly brought to you by Volvo. It's safe to be brave with Volvo.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
10 minutes before 10 o'clock, the Eswatini government, I don't know if you've been following up on this, the Eswatini government has accepted individuals classified as violent criminals from the U.S. as part of a third country deportation deal. This comes as their own countries refuse to accept the men. So there are this group of 5 men who are originally from Vietnam, Jamaica, Cuba, Yemen, Laos, their own countries have refused to accept them. They've now been deported from the U.S. to Eswatini. The U.S. tried to send them back to their own countries. Their own country says no, because they are all convicted of serious offenses, including murder, aggravated assault, gang-related crimes, and child rape. So their own country said no. What did the U.S. then do? The U.S. then decided to go to Eswatini and say, take these people for us, and you can figure out what you do with them afterwards. Eswatini has now signed this agreement because who says no to Donald Trump? I spoke to the spokesperson of the Eswatini government so you can understand their rationale from their side on why they decided to accept these convicted criminals from the U.S. This is Thabile Mdluli, who is the government spokesperson for Eswatini. Thabile, thank you so much for making time for us. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, tell us about this agreement that Eswatini has had with the U.S. What does it entail?
It's basically a high-level agreement that began with negotiations months ago. Basically, the agreement is that they will send some of their country nationals to the Kingdom of Eswatini, but they will be here for us to facilitate repatriation back to their countries of origin.
Okay, and what's in it for you as Eswatini? Why did you sign this kind of agreement?
The U.S. and Eswatini has had very fruitful bilateral relations, spanning almost 6 decades now. So it's always been a kind of agreement where there is mutual benefits for each country. So there is no specific benefit because of this agreement now. It's just a continuation of what we already were doing for 6 decades.
Okay, but this is the first time that you are taking some immigrants that they've arrested for them.
Yes, it's the first time, and we are hoping that there won't be any other reason to do that again in future. But if there would be, we'd still go back and sit down with the U.S. and discuss the conditions and the terms of doing that kind of agreement.
What reasons did the U.S. give you guys for wanting to bring these immigrants to your country?
Unfortunately, some of the information in that agreement is what you can term classified information. So I'm not allowed to actually go to the specifics of the agreement in terms of what the reasons were and everything related to that.
Okay, I get that, but I'm just asking, did the U.S. say our prisons are overpopulated? We want you to hold on to these people. So I'm not asking about what the charges the people were facing. I'm just asking, what were their reasons? I mean, I would imagine they didn't just say take these people without giving you reasons.
I'm sure the reasons were there. Like I said, the negotiations were high level. I was also not part of those negotiations. So I'm not really privy to the specific reasons why we had to do that agreement with the U.S.
So how do you explain it then to the people of Eswatini? Because as the people, as a government, you have to explain to them, this is a decision we've taken. So what's the explanation?
For the Kingdom of Eswatini, I think the concern really has been on their safety. But we have always been a country that safeguards the safety of its people. And we have very watertight security systems. So ours, we have just explained that there is no reason to fear, no reason to be afraid. We will ensure that we continue to make sure that these prisoners are kept in a safe place and in isolation so that there is no chance of them to actually come up and be a danger to the nation.
Do you have capacity for these prisoners? Do you not have overpopulated prisons?
No, we don't have overpopulated prisons at the moment. We do have the capacity to handle the 5 that are here. Perhaps the problem would come if they wanted to bring more, but for now we are fine in terms of capacity.
And what happens if the countries that they're supposed to be deported them don't want to take them back?
I guess, again, we'd have to go back to the table with the U.S., sit down and strategize on the way forward. Because remember, the U.S. and Eswatini nowadays also other third parties. We will continue with, we come to that point that we've just specified.
This agreement.
I'm sure those areas considered by the...
How are you being affected by the terror?
10%, and it's not that, it's a reciprocal tariff. We've always been having a 10% tariff with the U.S.
Oh, so based on the new tariffs that Trump has announced, he hasn't increased any in as far as Eswatini is concerned?
No, it's still the 10%.
Okay, but there are some people in Eswatini who have been concerned that we're being treated here as dumping ground. And I know, as you say, there are some questions that you're unable to answer, except to, of course, promise the people of Eswatini that they're going to be safe. How's the mood on the ground? Because there are some people that seemingly are still not satisfied with your explanation. Can you confidently say that the people in Eswatini now understand your position, even though you're unable to answer some of the questions?
Look, the panic was justified. I mean, it's not every day that you receive criminals from other countries to come to your country. But we believe after almost a week of this having happened, people are starting to calm down now. We cannot say for sure that everyone is satisfied as yet, but we see that the panic is dying down a bit.
Oh, yeah. And then when do you expect to deport them to their home countries?
It's quite difficult at this point to say exactly when, but we can say that the negotiations or the engagements between the parties concerned have already begun.
Okay. Thabile Mdluli, thank you so much for speaking to us. So that is Thabile, who speaks on behalf of the Eswatini government. Apologies there for the glitch in this clip. We recorded the conversation just before we went live on the show. I want to quickly bring in Advocate Clement Manyathela, who's a researcher at the Thabo Mbeki African School of Public and International Affairs at UNISA. Advocate Manyathela, just quickly on Eswatini, why did they take this deal? There's nothing in it for Eswatini, at least from what the government spokesperson says. They don't even know what they would do if the countries they try to deport these criminals to are saying, no, we don't want them. So it's almost like they did it because they were scared of Donald Trump. How do you read it?
Refreshing morning, Clement. Indeed, Clement, I think you see your last question that you raised, I think that was a trigger, even if she was very diplomatic or economical with the truth. For me, what I have read, it is that in principle, Eswatini had a choice, not to accept this man. Considering this global traffic of tariffs that is going on and this cut and increase of aid, so one can say that it's either political and economic pressure points that push the kingdom to bow to the American bullying tactics. For me, it is that looking at also the safe deportation. Remember even the visit of 5 African countries that were there, or Senegal, or Gabon, Liberia. They were promised the same. Nigeria refused this also, remember? And this also brings us to the case that we have dealt with last year, Clement, if you recall, of Rwanda and the British, of bringing immigrants. But this one is different because you are talking about hardcore convicts.
They are.
And for us, I mean, we should be worried. If they jump to Barberton, Umkhonto, Pongola, if they can escape. So for us, I think the official was very economical with the truth.
I mean, especially because Eswatini has no watertight security system, so we must be concerned ourselves.
No, we must lament, but like I said to you, this is a pressure that comes from the bullying tactic coming from the U.S., and that will, I mean, the SADC must come out clear, Clement. How do we deal with such, Because SADC, I mean, Eswatini, it is the member of SADC.
Yeah, just quickly then, Advocate Manyathela, the move by Jacob Zuma in Morocco, what does that mean? Because when he was president, he took a different position, but now his party seems to be supporting Morocco's plan in as far as sovereignty of Western Sahara is concerned.
Clement, I know time it's not there, but what a diplomatic blunder also from the head of state. But I don't know, Clement, have you checked the document of MK, the 17-page document of what they called a strategic partnership for African unity, economic emancipation, and territorial integrity on Morocco? Very skewed. When you read that document, for me, is that they could not capture the history of where does the occupation of Morocco begins. Because me and you have dealt with the Berlin Conference effects, remember, on this show. And Western Sahara was the product of the Berlin Conference divide and rule. And that's how Morocco finds itself occupying Western Sahara for more than 50 years. Despite that, in 1991, there was UN referendum around that. And I think that is a political blunder, but read that document, and for me it will be great if Clement can have a debate with the MK International Relations, their researchers, to say, but when they put this document, were they not aware of the facts that have been there before? And as we have said before, the ANC has been having a clear stance. Every January 8 statement, ANC will always talk about Western Sahara. We know very well. But many African countries, the AU, have been very clear about Morocco's stance. Even there was a time Morocco ambassador was chased out of the AU.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah, Advocate Sipa Mantula, we're out of time, but thank you so much. I think we should dedicate some time for that debate with the MK party. We have requested them for an interview. They were not available to join us today, but we'll keep pushing for the rest of the week.
You've been supporting the boys your whole life.
Don't you feel like a crime?
They never gave up, and now they've made it to the finals. The finals!
Don't you feel like crying?
But you're on your couch, 12,000 kilometers away.
Don't you feel like you could cry?
You can only imagine what it would feel like to actually be there.
Crying.
Now imagine not just being there, but getting seats 5 rows up at the halfway line.
Oh, yes!
Invest early. You'll be so happy you did. Coronation. Trust is earned. Coronation is a registered FSP.
Every pothole, power cut, or best pipe tells a story of frustration, but how the story ends is up to you. Fix Local helps you report local issues, escalate them, or as a last resort, fix them yourself safely and legally. It empowers you with tools to work with or hold local government to account so you can build the neighborhood you deserve. Visit fixlocal.org.za to take up issues in your area. 702 supports Fix Local. Let's walk the talk and fix local together.
Shame. Do you have a sore throat? The Andalex range of lozenges offers 2 options. At the first signs of an irritated, scratchy throat, use Andalex lozenges for dual-action, soothing relief. But for a painful, inflamed throat, use Andalex C lozenges for triple-action, pain relief. Andalex, SA's #1 choice for a sore mouth and throat. Andalex lozenges are available at all leading pharmacies and supermarkets.
Just Andalex it.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I am Sfiso Zulu. The ANC in Ekurhuleni has committed to finding a solution to the electricity tariff hike dispute, which has led to a service delivery protest in Tembisa. Mayor Dr. Xhakaza has called an emergency meeting this morning with the Departments of Energy and Finance to consider a new solution on the tariffs. Residents have blocked roads with burning tires, rocks and debris in a protest that started last night against the tariff hikes. Ekurhuleni Finance MMC Jongi Zizwe Labati says they are considering their options.
The Executive Mayor has since committed to look at this matter, working with his team, and in due course we are optimistic that an amicable solution will be found in the best interest of the people of Ekurhuleni as well as the financial sustainability of the city. At this point in time, we are calling for residents to be calm and allow the Executive Mayor to be seized with the matter, and in due course, a decision will be communicated on what is it that the city is going to do with regards to this public outcry.
Mongezi Koko has more from the Tembisa on the situation on the ground.
The situation here is still very tense. A short while ago, I spoke to a woman who claims to have been shot multiple times with rubber bullets. She showed me bruises and cuts, saying she feels targeted just for being outside.
The situation is before utengi case, kufanele ubhadale umasipala 250 before utengi case. I fell, I hit myself, I was shot 5 times. Somewhere I'm not going to mention, but yeah, I'm more angry. I'm so angry.
She and other residents here say their anger is fueled by unfair electricity costs. Police are still patrolling the area and clearing debris, but there are no formal talks underway between official and community leaders. Residents insist the demonstrations will continue until their demands are met, while police say they'll remain deployed to prevent escalation. Monkey Zikoko, Eyewitness News, Tembisa.
EFF leader Julius Malema is back at the East London Magistrates Court today, where closing arguments will be heard in his firearm discharge trial. Malema is accused of firing a gun on stage at a rally in Dantsane in 2018. His security official Adrian Snyman is accused of giving him the alleged weapon, and he's also back in the dock with Malema this morning. The pair face charges of unlawful possession of a firearm, unlawful possession of ammunition, and contravening the Firearms Control Act. Nkabane Dambo has the details.
The closing arguments were initially set down for the end of last year, but proceedings in the long-running trial hit a snag when the magistrate fell ill. Previously, the defence led the evidence of 2 expert witnesses in firearms control and forensic ballistics for Adrian Snyman. Malema testified in his own defence. This is what he had to say when he took to the stand a year ago.
My DNA is not found on that weapon. My house was never searched. My workplace was never searched looking for that weapon. I was never questioned about that weapon. I must come before this court and answer for weapons that cannot be brought anywhere close to my skin or to me.
While Malema believes the state is clutching at straws, prosecutors believe they've made their case. Nkabane Dambo, Eyewitness News.
And the International Relations Department says it's unable to assist a team of young South African soccer players stranded in Portugal. The trip's organisers ran out of money to cover for return flights from a sporting tournament held in Spain. The soccer club left for San Sebastian Airport about 2 weeks ago from Cape Town. They were expected to return home last week Monday, but parents have been told that return flights had not been booked because of a funding gap. Department spokesperson Crispin Piri has urged the public to assist if they can with financial means. Thabile Mdluli reports.
The group of players consist of under 14 boys, under 19 boys and under 19 girls who were accompanied by 4 coaches at the Donosti Cup tournament in Spain. The tournament features 800 teams from 20 different countries and is regarded as one of the most prestigious in the world. The parents paid 50,000 rand for a package inclusive of flights, accommodation, food, transport, visas, flight insurance and team kits, but a higher airfare cost more than the budget. According to some parents, the organisers requested an additional 15,000 rand to cover the gap. The Department of Sports, Arts and Culture in the Western Cape says they are aware of the issue and have escalated it to national. Department spokesperson Tanya Collin.
We are in constant communication with the relevant stakeholders to ensure that the young players can return home safely as soon as possible.
The organisers have not responded to EWN's request for comment after several attempts. Jabuli Lembata, Eyewitness News.
Gold is trading at $3,365.86 an ounce. The rand is at 17.70 to the dollar, 23.79 to the pound, 20.61 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $69.20 a barrel.
Getting into your roads, as mentioned earlier, Tembisa is still seeing delays with entry currently barricaded along many major routes. These include Link Road, Sam Mulele Drive, Brian Mazibuko, as well as George Nyanga Drive. If we look at your other incidents across Joburg, there's an accident scene on the N14 northbound at Brakfontein interchange. This is on the ramp to the N1 north. And then the earlier incident still active on the N1 southbound at Rigel Avenue ramp from Rigel Drive.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 16 and 18 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, the ANC in Ekurhuleni is committing to finding a solution to the electricity tariff hike dispute, which has led to a service delivery protest in Tembisa.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
What are the matters that matter to you?
702 listens.
You're with Clement Manyathela
On 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
10 minutes after 10 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome to the second hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Thank you for staying with us here on 702. And thank you for your calls and your WhatsApps on the 702 open line. Let's now talk about the Higher Education Minister.
You're with Clement Manyathela.
702.
So, we have been talking about the Higher Education Minister, Nkabane, for a while now on the show. And we've invited the chair of the Portfolio Committee on Higher Education to actually join us in studio. Just so that we can get context, right? Context on what has happened so far and why the minister seemingly is doing as she pleases. As you may be aware, on Friday, she was supposed to appear in Parliament, but she sent out a letter of apology. She decided to go plant trees and attend another event in the Eastern Cape. So Tebogo Letsie is the chair of the Portfolio Committee on Higher Education, joining us in studio. Tebogo, thank you so much for making time for us. Good morning.
Good morning to yourself, Clement, the listeners of 702, and thanks for having us.
So I wanted to start at the back and then move it to how things started. On Friday, the minister was supposed to appear so that she can be asked some questions because there have been some developments, some people from her own office, I think, writing out letters to you, and please confirm that if that's the case, to say that they were not part of this so-called independent panel that the minister said they were part of. And then she was supposed to come on Friday, but she didn't. What happened? Why didn't she appear?
No, thanks. I think on Friday, we were supposed to have the minister, the deputy ministers, the DG, and all 5 panelists who had written, or who the minister had written to us about. The meeting on the 18th of June had instructed the chair, which is myself, to invite them to a meeting. We then received the apology. The DG was out of the country, was accompanying the deputy president in China. We received an apology of the chief of staff of the minister, who was on sick leave until Friday. The minister did write to us on Tuesday indicating that she will be attending a program in Eastern Cape of SRC inductions. In my capacity as the chairperson, I declined that apology, indicating to her that ministers individually and collectively are accountable to Parliament according to Section 92, subsection 2 of the Constitution, and therefore we require her to come to Parliament. She responded on the 17th of July, indicating that she wants to come, just that they've already, that program that they were attending had financial implications, and if she does not attend, it will be irregular expenditure or wasteful expenditure. I tabled, because that letter I received just before 5 p.m. I did not respond to her. I tabled the apology, and the plea of the minister to the committee. The committee deliberated. I think it's clear that all members of the committee were very unhappy with the minister not coming to Parliament. We felt that the minister wants to dictate as to what kind of oversight mechanism must be applied to her when she's supposed to, respond to Parliament. But be that as it may, the committee resolved that we'll give her one of the days that she had agreed or volunteered, which is tomorrow, 9 a.m. I applied, I got an approval, and I indicated before the meeting set. The meeting of the 18th had indicated or had resolved that I must write to all panelists and ask them to give us in writing what would have been their action in the panel, in the that thing of a panel. Many of them, I think the letters that are public knowledge now is that the chief of staff did indicate that she was not part of that particular panel. The chief director, SITA coordination, indicated he actually read his letter into the records on Friday. Advocate Terry Motau indicated that he had already indicated before that he was not part. We had the DDG, Ms. Rulani Ngwenya, indicating that She was appointed, but on a different panel, and the only person who had indicated that he was part of this particular panel was Asisi Pesolani, who was also not present in the meeting. So tomorrow, we're expecting the minister, the director general, the chief of staff of the minister, the DDG Ronaldo Ngwenya, we're bringing in Nkabane, the city coordination, and Asisi Pesolani. So all of them must become.
The fact that there are people who have written letters and said, we were not really part of the panel, even though the minister submitted a letter that said, these are the people who are on the independent panel. So she's lied to you guys as the committee.
Yeah, so I consulted legal, and I said, with the letters that we've received and what she has said, can we close on the matter? And they said, no, we can't. What we must do is that we must bring this panelists to read their letters into the records, and then after that, ask them questions. And then because of the principles of some law called audi alteram patent, we must also give an opportunity to respond to that, to those allegations that they will be making. Yeah. They've already made them in letters that they were not part of what she says they were part of. So the meeting tomorrow will deal with that particular issue and close the matter. Yeah. So we'll only know after we've given everybody a chance to read their letters into the minister has also written to us. So she's also going to read her letter into the record, and we'll take it.
What is her view on the people who are now distancing themselves from this panel?
She has not written to us about the letter. She wrote to us on the same time and said she stand by the letter, the submission.
Panel.
Yes, that she had.
But if she can provide any evidence contrary to what these guys are saying, evidence that shows that these people were part of the panel, then she can't be trusted.
Yeah, she must. I think she will bring us probably the appointment letters that she gave them, the minutes of that panel, because it's easier to prove whether
those don't even exist.
Yeah, we as the chairperson of the portfolio committee, because I have a responsibility to conclude on the matter tomorrow. I'm not able to develop an opinion like you now, because if I do so, she can easily ask that on the matter I be recused because I would have done and observed or did an opinion before she even
before she could put up her side of the story. I get that. 011-883-0702. I'd like to take your calls after the break, and your WhatsApps on 072-702-1702. What do you make of the behavior of the Minister of Higher Education? I mean, it's been so disrespectful to Parliament from day one. In fact, before the break, Abel, let's remind the listeners of how when the Minister was asked initially to even reveal this so-called independent panel that helped her decide to offer these chairpersons positions. Remember, she had appointed the Mantashe's son as one of the chairs of the sitters. Also appointed Mantashe's advisor as the chair of the sitters. When she was asked, why is this list riddled with politicians like that? And she said, but there was an independent panel that helped me decide. When Parliament said, who was on that panel? This is what she said back in the day.
So it is not compulsory for me to disclose the independent assessor, the independent panel that is assisting the minister. I'll first find out from them, get consent, if they are happy that I disclose their names. I cannot just come here and disclose information. I need to comply with the relevant legislation. I'm not going to respond to yes or no, unfortunately.
So that's what she said. And of course, the legal opinion that she sought said to her, ma'am, you have to release those names to Parliament. And then she released the names. And then the people on that list are saying, we were never part of that panel, including the chairperson, Advocate Terry Mutau. Do you remember this moment as well that transpired in Parliament when she appeared?
In your own view, Minister, what makes a person credible? When you say this one, Tebogo chair is credible or is not credible, what makes him credible in your own view? Minister?
What makes a person credible, Chair, is exactly how it is defined when you Google. By encyclopedia, you'll see what it means. It's exactly that.
You are not going to answer us. You are not going to answer us, Minister.
I've responded, Chairperson.
Oh my God. This country is alive with possibilities, I tell you. And her boss still silent about it, not doing anything about the arrogance of this minister. We'll be back after this.
702 delivers
on the matters that matter to you.
This is Leanne from Pretoria. 702 is my companion on my drive to work and home from work every day. They keep me up to date with loads of important information on the news of the world, but also lots of other interesting facts. And I always arrive at work and saying, guess what I heard on the radio today? So I think my staff know me as, guess what I heard on the radio today, whenever I arrive at work, thanks to 702.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts.
so we can deliver more on what matters to you.
702 listens.
Let's walk the talk.
This year, the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz Festival presents 3 unforgettable days deep in the heart and art of jazz. From the 26th to the 27th and 28th of September, Omar Sangare, Abatembu, Jasmine Horn, Silent Ngo, and the Noisemakers, Netchpong Trio, Michelle Denjeshelo, Felemsini, Gabi Mutuba, and over 50 world-class acts will be ready to welcome you and yours to 4 magnificent stages of the Sandton Convention Center. Take me there. Buy your tickets at Ticketmaster now.
Akwele.
Akwele.
Akweli.
Akwela.
Akwele.
Akwili.
Akwele.
No matter how you say it, one thing's for sure. Akwele is South Africa's most loved water brand, refreshing you with pure natural spring water and delicious flavored sparkling drinks. From every sip to every smile, thank you Mzansi for making Akwele a part of your everyday moments. Akwele, spreading joy to South Africa naturally.
Formulated from 5,000-year-old Ayurvedic wisdom, refined through decades of modern science. For 95 years, Himalaya Wellness has been the trusted name in herbal care, caring for families in more than 100 countries around the world. Our clinically studied natural formulations, pure herbs, and personal care products are designed to support your health, skin, smile, and your baby's well-being. Bring the healing power of nature into your home. Himalaya Wellness. Live well, live herbal.
Every day I'm hustling. It's our reality as business owners. And it's good to know that there's someone out there who takes care of the business that makes the business. Gotta love My Way Business Insurance. Saving big on premiums with 24/7 emergency services, plus My Business Assist with marketing, legal, and labor advice services.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's, and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
The 702 Walk the Talk is happening on Sunday, and we can't wait to walk with you on this awesome family day out. But before we hit the streets, you need your walk numbers. If you choose to collect yours at DP World Wanderers Stadium in Joburg, you can do so this Thursday on the 24th and Friday the 25th between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. If you selected the Union Buildings in Pretoria as your collection venue, walk numbers will be ready for collection only on Saturday the 26th. From 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Remember, you must go to the collection venue you selected when entering. The 702 Walk the Talk, hosted by Freedom Park Heritage Site in the city of Tshwane. See you on Sunday.
Your voice.
Your questions.
Your morning radio with Clement Manyathela.
This is 702.
24 minutes after 10 o'clock, we're in conversation now with Tebogo Letsia, who is the committee chair for the Higher Education Portfolio Committee in Parliament. Let me take a few calls and then I'll go back to Tebogo. Kabelo, you are calling us from Pretoria. Good morning.
Morning. Thanks, Clement. Thanks to your guest.
Sure, go ahead.
Morning to your guest. Clement, maybe let me first start by saying that what a shame. Minister Orteletse, but I must commend the chairperson. I like how he handled the situation, very calm, and that showed leadership. And I thank him again that he knew what was the outcome. I can tell you now that the chairperson knows the outcome. He gave her the rope. She's got the rope now. It's time for her to hang herself. But again, the president not acting swiftly on matters like this make us not have confidence in him.
Yeah, and I know he's frustrated by the minister's actions, Kabelo, but why she is not acting, we just don't know. Kabelo in Pretoria, thank you for your call.
Good morning. The minister's arrogance is setting up a precedent. I wonder if the president is aware of that. Well, it is really counterintuitive for the president not to do anything because this will catch up with him. Anonymous.
Good morning, Clement. Good morning, Clement. With regards to the Minister of Higher Education and the portfolio committee and the chairperson, who is your guest at the moment. And I think, if I'm not wrong, she has to report to the committee. But now it looks like now they have to report to her. So which means it's either the portfolio committee is like an old dog that is just lying there and barking, or the minister, who is the tail, is wagging the dog, who is the committee. Thank you, Clement. The minister, we've had enough. We've had enough of you. I will remain anonymous. Thank you.
Thank you, Anonymous. Are you an old dog, Atabogo? Are you toothless? Is there anything that you can even do at this point in as far as her behavior towards Parliament is concerned?
No, thank you very much. I don't think the Parliament is an old dog. When the minister sent in an apology on Tuesday, I wrote to her and I read out Section 92, subsection 2 of the Constitution of South Africa that gives powers to the Portfolio Committee to make ministers accountable either individually or as a collective to the committee. I indicated to her that that act tells her that she must account to Parliament, and we're not going to allow her not to come and account. And I feel where the listeners are coming from. If you remember, we had a similar case with University of Limpopo, who blatantly refused to furnish the committee with documents that the committee wanted in a portfolio committee. We went all the way, we summoned them. And then they lied. They went all over. I'm sure they even came to 702. They went all over lying that they responded to our summons and all of that, which they did not. So, but if we don't tighten our laws ourselves, if we don't execute them well, people are going to take chances. And I understand that's where members come from. There is a lot that we can do. Like, for an example, if she was not coming, we can summon her to do. I don't think it's a good thing that a minister in the executive is summoned to Parliament. And that is why we pleaded with her that come to the portfolio committee, come answer. But we're not a stokolog or toothless dog. We do have a number of mechanisms that...
She's coming tomorrow.
Yes.
If she can't explain herself, especially on the part of an independent panel, because it's clear, the chair says, I wasn't part of this. There are people who have written to you who says, if she can't give you any evidence that suggests that the independent panel really did exist, what's your next move as the committee?
The Powers, Privileges and Immunities Act of 2004 gives us the powers on what to do next. If you read from section 4, where we'll be establishing whether she indeed misled or not, and if we find that she has misled or furnished us with inaccurate facts, then we have section 17 that says anybody who comes before Parliament and lies to Parliament Parliament can charge them, and they may be liable to a fine or imprisonment of about up to 3 years. So we do have mechanisms in place.
And you will press that button if you are unconvinced after tomorrow's sitting.
Yes, if we will conclude the meeting tomorrow and say these are the facts presented by the panelists, these are the facts presented by the minister, what is it that the committee believes is true or not, then we'll test it with our legal team to check if we have ticked all the boxes, and then we'll then move to the next.
But as the committee chair, is this how you expect members of members of the executive to behave when they appear before a committee like yours in Parliament, which is constitutionally obligated to hold them accountable? Is this behavior you expect from ministers?
No. And that's why we would have said to her, even in that meeting of the 30th, if you listen to that, we did tell them that we don't have to like each other, we don't have to be friends, but everybody has got the responsibility to execute. You have a responsibility to execute in cabinet. We have our own this side. That behavior for me created a problem in the system. Imagine if we get that behavior from the minister. What about entities? What about vice chancellors, principals of TVET colleges, CEOs of SETAs, who must come and account before us? So that would have created a bad precedence for us, that people can just do as they please. And we did have a conversation with her that kind of behavior is not good for a constitutional democracy like ours, where accountability is one of the most important matters we want.
Okay, and if she doesn't show up tomorrow, you're going to summon her?
If she does not appear tomorrow, she will be summoned. I don't think we will get to that. I think she will come because she did ask for 4 possible dates, and one of them was tomorrow.
All right, Debo Kholitsie, all the best. Thank you so much for speaking to us. It's 10:32. I'll play some of your WhatsApp voice notes and take some of your calls responding to this conversation before we get into the series after the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. But before that, Sfiso, what do you have? Good morning.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. Well, at least a dozen Tembisa residents have been injured in running battles with police this morning. Officers have fired rubber bullets to disperse angry crowds that have been demonstrating over the high cost of electricity. Residents have blocked main roads with debris, stones and burning tires, while heavily armed officers have moved in to clear the streets. Low-cost airline FlySafair is prioritizing refunds for passengers who need to make alternative travel arrangements. It has cancelled some flights today due to a pilot strike, leaving passengers stranded at some of the country's major airports. Union Solidarity is demanding a 10% increase, rest time and leave benefits. And Iran has confirmed fresh talks with European powers to be held this week, a first since the US attacked Iranian nuclear facilities. Iranian diplomats will meet counterparts from Britain, France and Germany this week after the trio warned that sanctions could be reimposed on Tehran if it does not return to the negotiating table over its nuclear program. And those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 11 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Getting into your major story this morning, this has been rolling out right the way as mentioned on EWN News. Most of Tembisa remains inaccessible due to protest action. Looking at your major incidents, roadworks on the N12 westbound are currently active at Electron Interchange. The left-hand lane is closed. Then an update, congestion between the N1 northbound at the Brakfontein Interchange as well as N1 northbound in Olifantsfontein is now clear from earlier incidents. For EWM Traffic, I am Matt Flax.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Corporates That Care promotes and encourages corporate leaders and all citizens to walk the talk for a better South Africa. Catch Corporates That Care this Wednesday at 10 to 9 featuring Hashes, and their CEO Richard Hirsch will be in conversation with Bongani Bingwa. Join us every Wednesday as we highlight the efforts of companies and brands dedicated to building our country. Corporates That Care is a Prime Media Cares initiative with 702 and Prime Media Outdoor. 702, let's walk the talk and make a difference together.
Smart Steve from Momentum. Hello.
Stevie, my bro, it's me, Clinton Myers, the Minister of National Treasures.
Good afternoon, Mr. Minister. How can Momentum Insure help you?
You know, most Momentum car insurance protects the people better than a windbreaker in Cape Town.
That's true, Mr. Minister.
Listen, this no VAT economy is not helping with the cost of maintaining my gusheshe, my tires, man.
So why don't you drive lacquer and earn lacquer with Momentum Insure's safety return?
Smart Steve! Now you are a national treasure.
Also, Momentum Insure rewards you with up to 30% cash back on your paid premiums, even if you claim.
Nee, my lighty. Is it true?
Stru's Bob, Mr. Clint Mayers. In this economy, this cashback will go a long way.
Lekker man, Steve Bobo.
Visit momentum.co.za to get a quote. Momentum Insure, keeping you safe on your journey to success. Momentum Insure is an authorized non-life insurer and FSP. Standard SMS rates and T's and C's apply. FSP 22789.
From 24 to 27 July, Decorex Joburg returns to the Sandton Convention Center, now spanning 5 halls. Explore over 300 brands, shop exclusive show specials, and discover the latest in interiors, kitchens, bathrooms, and luxury finishes. Experience live interactive demos, expert-led talks, and the Handmade Africa Design Market. There's something for every style, space, and home. Book your tickets now at decorex.co.za or at the door.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
On the next Money Show, Mbali Ntlapo joins us as our special How I Make My Money guest. She's a renowned housekeeper and cleaning influencer known for her cleaning tips and services. Ian Mann, our book reviewer, goes through another fascinating book that you should be reading, Distinguishes, by Professor Sandra van der Merwe, now at Gibbs, formerly IMD and Imperial College Business Schools. Also, all of the top business news of the day.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Curtis is brought to you by ABSA Corporate and Investment Bank, a leading Pan-African bank and proud sponsor of the African Blockchain Report 2024. ABSA is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
702.
The Clement Manyathela Show.
Let's walk the talk.
23 minutes before 11 o'clock. Let me start with some of your WhatsApp voice notes that came in the previous hour during that conversation with Tebogo Letsie, who's the chair of the Portfolio Committee on Higher Education, about this disgraceful minister, really, Nobuhle Nkabane. The way she has been behaving towards Parliament leaves much to be desired, and the fact that the president is still folding his arms and is doing nothing about it is shocking, because he himself, the president, was not impressed with her behavior in Parliament. Did you hear the clip I played you where she's eating and she's saying, go to Encyclopedia, go Google? It's been shocking. On Friday, she was supposed to be in Parliament. She chose to go and plant trees in the Eastern Cape. If that is not a middle finger to Parliament, I don't know what is. Here's some WhatsApp voice notes that came through.
Good morning, Clement. The minister feels entitled to her position. She's very arrogant, disrespectful to the South Africans. She must be fired. She's very incompetent. It's Jabulisile from Midrand. Thanks, bye.
Good morning, Clement. Yes, the problem there is that Parliament in general is not run the right way. I think there was, the last time I heard, more than 100 questions that was just not answered. And that's where the problem started. So based on what can you now tell this minister you must answer, but the previous 100 did not answer as well? Hanu from Pretoria.
Good morning, Clement. You know, the way the minister is behaving, he doesn't even care how much it costs the country for us just to be talking about the same thing that doesn't even add value to people of South Africa. They don't care. You know, they don't care the costs of just postponing, delaying all of these things. We're not even talking about service delivery to people. We're just talking about somebody's behavior, you know, entitlement, feeling superior to other people. Yes, she's got rights, but she has to balance it against the people of South Africa. You know, ANC, they're just behaving as if they are not a 40% party. They're just going about the business as if, I don't know, maybe they have something that they're going to surprise us with. But at this rate, I don't see it happening.
Your voice.
Your questions.
Your morning radio with Clement Manyathela.
This is 702.
All right, let's get into our next conversation now about successful land restitution cases. This is part of a series that we started a couple of weeks ago. So we spent some time understanding our history as far as land dispossession is concerned. And of course, we need to understand the resilience and fighting spirit of communities that have been dispossessed of their land and communities that ultimately got their land back and transformed it into a source of pride and empowerment. And as I said earlier, I know often we criticize government for the slow land restitution program, but that doesn't mean there are no pockets of success. So today we're talking about the Matsamo Communal Property Association. They own various farms covering just over 14,000 hectares within the Nkomanzi local municipality in the Mpumalanga province. This is a community that's also gone through this history of land disposition, a community that claimed the land back, they got it back, and they started negotiating with the previous owners. And we've got Advocate Bernard Shabangu, who's going to help us understand this journey better. He's a spokesperson for the Matsamo Community Property Association. Advocate Shabangu, thank you for making time for us. Good morning.
Morning, Clement. Morning to your viewers or your listeners.
Let's start from the beginning. When was this community dispossessed of this land? Where did they move to? And when did the process to claim it back begin for you?
Well, thank you very much, Clement. Well, the land dispossessions began in earnest mostly around the 50s to the 60s at the height of the apartheid period, even though there were dispossessions that took place before 1948. But the community of Matsamo saw the biggest dispossessions happening from the 50s right up to the 70s. And quite a lot of the communities that lived on that land were then forcibly moved to arid, almost areas where they had to lose their grazing areas and their residential areas and areas that they used to plow for their livelihoods. And in 1998, at the close of the window for the submission of applications for land restitution, the Matsamo land claim, which was among the biggest land claims in the Nkomazi area and in Mpumalanga, was then also submitted. From 1998 until just around 2010, 2011, back and forth have been happening between the department, former land owners, and so on, resulting in the transfers of the land parcels that we have now received. The Matsamo Communal Property Association itself was officially launched in 2007, and it has been engaging with the former land owners, also through the facilitation of the rural development, to come up with functional models that then have resulted in us being able to continue to make those farms productive. Because what we've also observed is that without support from government, but also partnerships with the private sector, it can become difficult at times for communities to make a success of the restitution project.
Yeah. So you took then this decision to negotiate, as you say, with the former owners of that land. Why did you take that positioning, and how has it assisted the land that you have claimed to now? Because I mean, at the time, I mean, when you are, claiming your land back, government would normally offer the previous owners like some amount of money. Like, I don't know if there was a willing buyer, willing seller policy at the time, but did government then pay the previous owners who could then leave the farm and give it the land back to you? What was the agreement at the time, and why did you specifically choose to sit down on the table with the former owners?
Well, perhaps we must also underline, Clement, that the agriculture is a very, very scientific process, and it requires a lot of upfront investment, which if you do not have, you then you find yourself in a situation where the farm will then lose seasons, and once you lose a season and you don't prepare, then a chain of events will then commence. And our view was that these guys who worked the land for years and understood the farms, understood the market, but also had the capital to immediately get us into production. We felt it was a wise move that we enter into an agreement with them on a fixed term contract, so that we come in as well as communities and we put our young graduates, most of whom have agricultural experience. Some of them we send them to universities to study, and we're saying during that period, the community then gets to understand the business, gets to understand the commercial side, the agronomic side, so that if you enter into a 7-year agreement, for example, after 7 years, you know that you are in a much better position to farm by yourself. And we realize that if we kick out those formal landowners as we come in, sometimes it becomes a struggle to really understand how the business is run and how some of the agronomic and financial decisions are taken and why. And by the time you try to catch up, you have already lost production. And we thought it could be smart that we understudy these guys, even though on a fixed term contract, and when we now understand the business better, then we can run on our own.
Are they still with you guys?
Yes, we've got 2 that are still with us, but now we've also taken up some of the farms and we're running them on our own.
Okay. And speaking of the farms, my understanding is that, what you have claimed to covers over 14,000 hectares. Can you just paint a picture for our listeners of what this land encompasses and the kinds of activities taking place on it? Now we know there's obviously agriculture, which is important for Matsamo's operations, but what else is on that land?
All right, we are the biggest supplier of sugarcane to the RCL sugar mill in Malalan. But we're also producing a lot of lychee and quite a lot of citrus, which we export to Europe and some Asian nations. But we're also supplying the Tshwane and Joburg market with banana, papaya, and quite a lot of other crops that we produce. We are currently in a process to venture into the alternative energy options. We are running a hydropower station there, which supplies about 40% of our energy needs in some of our farms. And we are also working on a gas power plant that we're partnering with private sector as well, that we believe is also going to alleviate some of the energy costs that we're having as a community. But we're also looking into venturing into agrotourism as well, projects that are still in the pipeline. So there's quite a variety of activities that we're investigating at this point. The hydropower station is running. It has been running. It was actually taken over from the previous owner, and we have been working with the teams to revamp it and use it to power our farming operation as a green operation as well.
All right, it's 11 minutes now before 11 o'clock. We'll continue this chat after the break with Advocate Bernard Shabangu as we look at the Matsamo Community Property Association. I mean, they are owning land now, farms covering just over 14,000 hectares within the Nkomazi local municipality in the Mpumalanga province. Maybe you've got some questions for Advocate Shabangu. What an interesting model that they've taken here to ensure that there's a skills transfer, right? Even when they got legally, they've got claim to the land, they still said to the previous owners, let's sit down, let's transfer the skills, let's learn from how you've been running this before we let you go. And that's been their model throughout. Maybe you've got some inputs, you've got comments, questions for Advocate Mashabangu. We'll come with them after the break, 10 minutes before 11.
Herschel Gibbs here with more than just a crypto ad. Crypto payments are now live on 10bet. And there's more. Download the app, deposit, and get an extra 5% in cash. The future of betting, faster, safer, and smoother. Play now at 10bet.co.za. 10bet is a licensed betting operator and supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 shall be permitted to bet. Betting can be addictive. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
It all starts with FNB Private. Diversify your portfolio to grow your wealth. Gain global exposure through shares or unit trusts on the FNB app. Tap into international investments and tax-efficient offshore trusts to build your legacy. Unlock invaluable with FNB Private. Help changes everything. FNB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized FSB and credit provider. FNB International Trustees, FNB IT registration number 3080. Licensed by the Guernsey Financial Services Commission to conduct fiduciary business. T's and C's apply.
Hey, no longer feeling like the man you used to be? The man who's the life of the party even when he doesn't attend.
The fact is, 95% of men with low testosterone go untreated.
Vitamin High Performance Supplements for men helps recharge energy, regain lean muscle, and reload performance. Available at all good pharmacies and vitamin.co.za. Vitamin. Don't get older. Get better.
You're with Clement Manyathela.
702. Let's walk the talk.
It's 9 minutes before 11 o'clock. We are having a conversation this morning about some land restitution cases, positive, successful land restitution cases. So this is part of a series we started a couple of weeks ago where we spend some time every Monday at 10:30 looking at those successful land restitution programs for communities that were dispossessed of their land and now have got their land back following their claims process. How are they benefiting from that now? And that's precisely why we have this series, to understand the journey that communities have taken to claim their land back and what have they done with that land. So today we're focusing on the Matsamo Communal Property Association, which owns various farms covering just over 14,000 hectares within the Nkomazi local municipality in the Mpumalanga province. Yeah, Advocate Shabangu, I've got a question here about how the community itself is benefiting, because, you know, when you have a whole community that was dispossessed and then when you get land back and you are using that for revenue, at some point you want to make sure that the benefits trickle down to community members. How are you making sure of that?
Yes, no. Thank you, Clement. I think we've come up with quite a number of, benefit options for the community. Firstly, we're making sure that they benefit immediately through employment creation. These projects have currently created over 5,000 jobs for local communities that are on the farm on a daily basis, working as employees. But we've also made sure that the children of the beneficiaries are sent to universities and colleges so that they study and they come back to benefit the community through their skills. And we make sure that when we take them up, we pay for their tuition. And as we speak right now, we've got over 100 students that we've already put through universities, and they some of them have already come back, and they are gainfully employed in the operation. Some of them are working elsewhere. But on an annual basis, we've got a dividend share scheme where every family gets a portion of the profit, which we then pay directly to the family heads, because each family is represented by one family member, who then becomes the recipient of the dividend share that we then pay.
How do you know then which families are legitimately part of those that were removed from the land during dispossession? How have you gone about dealing with that aspect? Because it can get tricky. Anybody could come and say, we also lived here and therefore we are entitled to those benefits.
Certainly. No, what we've done, we've established what we call verification committees that are constituted by elders who used to live in those farms. So in each farm, there would then be a committee that is elected in that farm, and the neighbors in that farm would know each other. And when anybody comes, they come before the verification committee. The verification committee is supported by an appointed PSP who then assists in making sure that every person who claims to have lived in that farm is verified and confirmed by the neighbors that lived there. And they say, well, we know that family, they lived with us. So we've worked through that process, and it has really assisted us in a way. Because nobody can just come and say, we lived here and nobody knows them. You would need the committee, which is usually comprised of quite elders who lived there. Some of them were headmen and they knew each other in that particular environment.
So how many jobs would you say you have created through CPA's initiatives so far, since it's taken over the land?
Yes, currently we've got over 5,000 that are in the different farming operations, but also during picking season, the number goes quite high because we then get seasonal workers to come in as pickers and packers of the citrus in the main. But we also have contracted work, and I forgot to mention that beneficiary-owned companies are also appointed to deliver services, whether it's cane cutting, whether it's loading, and so on. And they benefit. They also employ their own employees as community contractors that are on the space. But we also have a fully fledged CPA office, which currently employs about 11 permanent staff members that are also coming from the community. So we're just trying to make sure that in terms of the benefit that goes to the community, it trickles down at the various levels of the operation.
So Matsamo is often cited as a model for land reform success. What advice would you give to other communities out there or land restitution projects trying to follow almost a similar path? I mean, some people have been waiting now for also decades to get their land back. The process is still through the courts. It can take a long time. Any advice for those that are still pushing to claim they get their land back?
Well, personally, I would say maybe talking through the Matsamo experience, it's true that the process can be tedious. But we're saying it does not, for as long as your claim was filed in line with the process, we must just keep making the follow-ups, but also making sure that the people that are elected to lead the project are people with the necessary, even though it may not be land reform experience, but there must be people who are having the literacy levels that are necessary to assist them really to pursue these projects, because it gets complicated sometimes, and in some communities you find that the entire leadership is constituted by people maybe with limited kind of exposure to engagements, especially when you're negotiating these deals that are negotiated with the former landowners. If your team is not constituted by people with a bit of knowledge in corporate, at times it gets tricky. We were also fortunate to be supported by a law firm that was then appointed by the CPA on a full-time basis using a retainer system to make sure that in our engagements, our lawyers are always with us, and they make sure that we don't get a short end of the stick.
Absolutely, yeah. Advocate Bernard Shabangu, thank you so much for speaking to us, and well done on successfully being involved in a project like this one that ultimately benefits the very community that was dispossessed initially. I mean, the fact that they're sending children to school, bursaries, there are over like thousands of jobs that have been created. I mean, that's great to know that the community that was dispossessed of their land back in the day, their children's and children's children are going to benefit from having this land back. And that's why land reform is so important.
From 24 to 27 July, Decorex Joburg returns to the Sandton Convention Center, now spanning 5 halls. Explore over 300 brands, shop exclusive show specials, and discover the latest in interiors, kitchens, bathrooms, and luxury finishes. Experience live interactive demos, expert-led talks, and the Handmade Africa Design Market. There's something for every style, space, and home. Book your tickets now at decorex.co.za or at the door.
At the heart of the global conversations shaping the future, Africa's voice matters more than ever. As Africa's largest bank by assets and lead sponsor of the B20 Summit, Standard Bank Group is proud to spotlight the continent's growth, partnerships, and potential on the world stage. Through informed dialogue and powerful partnerships, Standard Bank is driving sustainable growth where it matters most. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
Dreaming of your next getaway? Whether it's a sun-soaked beach escape, adventure-packed tour, or luxury cruise, Flight Centre is your go-to for travel. From flights and hotels to tours and cruises, we've got it all. Plus travel insurance for peace of mind. If you want the best deals, you can save more by taking advantage of our Bundle Plus Save offer. Plan your trip today at your nearest Flight Centre store or visit flightcentre.co.za. Flight Centre, your centre for travel.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. We start with developments on the East Rand, where at least a dozen Tembisa residents have been injured in running battles with police this morning. Officers have fired rubber bullets to disperse crowds protesting over the high cost of electricity. Residents have blocked main roads with debris, stones and burning tires, while heavily armed officers have moved in to clear the streets. Mongezi Koko has more from Tembisa.
Tembisa residents have accused police officers deployed to quell tensions in the area of using unnecessary force. Some have told EWN they were inside their homes when rubber bullets were fired through gates and windows.
Why must they do that? And now what did they do? They broke my mother's window. And my mom was literally sleeping in her bedroom. A lot of people in my yard got hurt. Even my uncle, even my friend got hurt. For what?
The residents are frustrated about newly introduced electricity tariffs, saying the high costs make it difficult to keep the lights on. In response, Ekurhuleni Mayor Dr. Xhakaza has called an emergency meeting to finalize a report on potential remedies to the controversial electricity hikes. Mongezi Koko, Eyewitness News, Tembisa.
Low-cost airline FlySafair is prioritizing refunds for passengers who need to make alternative travel arrangements. It has cancelled some flights today due to a pilot strike, leaving passengers stranded at some of the country's major airports. Union Solidarity is demanding a 10% increase, rest time and leave benefits. The company has offered a 5.7 salary increase, which has been rejected by the union. FlySafair spokesperson Kirby Gordon has encouraged travellers to check the status of their flights before heading to the airport.
And all details on those flights are available on the travel updates page on our website. So if your flight is not listed on that travel updates page, it has not been impacted by any of the cancellations. Of course, our teams are all on standby to assist customers with any changes or rebookings.
The mother of slain 11-year-old Jadine Lee Meek is set to return to the Roodepoort Magistrates Court this morning for the continuation of her bail application. Tiffany Meek was charged for her son's murder after the little boy's body was discovered outside the family's apartment in Vlerhof in May. Meek had reported the child missing, saying he never returned home from school. She maintains she had no hand in Jadine's death, as Ntokozo Khumalo reports.
The state had previously revealed that they found evidence which links Tiffany Meek to Jaden's death at the home she shared with the son. In the affidavit read into the record during her bail application last week, Tiffany's lawyer, Novel Naidu, made claims that she is being framed. She says the incriminating evidence the state claims to have found could not have been found in her apartment.
The photographer was also present for the second time, and this was when the entire case took a turn and I started to get framed for Jaden's murder. I was informed that his school bag, uniform, blood-stained underwear and bedsheets.
The state plans to oppose bail. Ntokozo Khumalo, Eyewitness News.
The Gauteng Health Department has denied claims that some ANC Youth League members have scored board posts at the province's hospitals that offer generous payouts. This follows reports in the Sunday Times yesterday alleging that some ANC Youth League leaders have landed the posts, including politicians who do not have the correct qualifications. Department spokesperson Thabile Mdluli says it's untrue that there's political interference in board appointments.
Such claims are not only baseless, but they are insulting to the more than 200 highly qualified professionals who have volunteered to serve their communities in these roles that are not even remunerative.
And finally, the Victoria's Junior Springbok team is set to arrive in the country this morning. The team made history on Saturday when they ended a 13-year wait to win the World Rugby Under 20 Championship by beating New Zealand. EWN Sports reporter Mawande Mateza is at OR Tambo International Airport waiting for the team to arrive.
A small but sizable crowd is waiting at the arrivals terminal to welcome home a new generation of South African stars who've made their mark on the world stage. Led by Captain Riley Norton, they became just the second junior Springbok team to win the tournament after Vian Liebenberg's side did the same in Cape Town in 2012. The junior Bok team that year featured future World Cup winning Springbok stars Steven Kitshoff, Peter Steph du Toit and Handré Pollard. What will become of the class of 2025 remains to be seen, but plenty will be expected of the likes of Norton, Hashim Peed and Vusi Moyo, who made a name for themselves this year. The crowd gathered here has been in high spirits and full of song as they await for Norton and his teammates to emerge with the coveted trophy in their possession. SA Rugby will host a press conference shortly where Norton, coach Kevin Foote and SA Rugby president Mark Alexander will address the media. Mawande Mateza, Eyewitness News at OR Tambo International Airport.
Gold is trading at $3,365.86 an ounce. The rand is at 17.70 to the dollar, 23.79 to the pound, 20.61 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $69.20 a barrel.
Getting into your roads, there is currently an accident scene on the N1 northbound. This is at New Road. A lane is closed. That's on the far left-hand side. Otherwise, roadworks today, there is on the N12 westbound at Electron Interchange, left-hand lane closed. And then on the N12 eastbound before Pudfontein Road, the left shoulder is closed because of that.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 16 and 18 degrees. The developing story in EWN this hour, at least a dozen Tembisa residents have been injured in running battles with police this morning.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Walk through history, walk with it. Sunday, 27 July, 7:02 Walk the Talk. Hosted by Freedom Park in the city of Tshwane. More on primemediaplus.com.
You're with Clement Manyathela
On 702.
Let's Walk the Talk, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app,
DSTV channel 856,
92.7 and 106 FM.
8 minutes after 11 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome to the third and final hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Thank you for staying with us here on 702. What a fascinating project that the Matsamo Communal Property Association is working on. And I see a lot of you have suggested that they must publish like academic articles on this. I mean, I think what they've gone through and the model they've chosen probably will go a long way in helping those that are still trying to get their land back through the courts, and they've followed that claims process. Rems on Twitter says, Advocate Makamo and the leaders of this project must document their process and successes as a manual for future claimants and beneficiaries of land reform. Theirs is a beautiful story. Mlimandlela says, I'm loving this advocate and the articulation and reflection on the wisdom and reasoning of their community and CPA. Kudos to them. So yeah, what a fascinating, successful project. And I think that's the purpose of this series that we started. We want to look at all of these, not all of them, because there's like hundreds out there, but we want to really document and profile a few of the successful land restitution cases. So we do this every single Monday at 10:30. Time now for our Family Matters feature.
702.
Family Matters.
So on our Family Matters feature today, we're discussing the importance of accountability in self-development. And I've been asking you, how do you hold yourself accountable? Do you have accountability partners? Are you someone's accountability partner? Because accountability is a crucial aspect of personal development. It helps us stay focused. It encourages self-reflection, builds self-confidence, increases productivity. It strengthens our relationships as well. So personal accountability is quite important. There's an important role that it plays in various aspects of our lives. So we've invited Mandy Harold, who is a strength and leadership coach, joining us in studio and will be guiding us through this conversation. But I would like you to also tell us how you hold yourself accountable. How do you hold others accountable that you are accountability partners of? You can call us on 011-883-0702 to join this chat. The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. Mandy, welcome to the show. Good morning.
Unjani, Clement.
Ngiyapila. I really appreciate you making time for us. Let's start with, how do we define accountability?
I think we need to change our relationship with accountability, Clement. Often we see accountability as something that's heavy and hard and boring. And so we won't be inclined to want to engage with accountability if it feels like something that is not pleasant and heavy. And so I think we need to see accountability as a gift to our future selves. And this is hard to do on our own, which is why, as you've alluded to, we need accountability partners. We need some structure. We need, whether it be an app or a friend or a coach or a personal trainer, somebody or something to help us keep showing up. Because fundamentally, it's doing the same things that help us get to our end goal.
Yeah. So, and getting to those end goals, that's so important. Why is accountability then important for our self-development, and how important is it for just various aspects of our lives?
Because willpower isn't enough, Clement, and mantras only take us so far. So why is it important for our personal development? Because it's the consistency over the intensity that's important. So all the gurus that talk to us about habits talk to us about how we need, like you brushing your teeth twice a day, every day. You won't notice the backlash of not doing that until you haven't done it for a few days or a few weeks, and then obviously that leads to issues. So in terms of our personal development, accountability just helps to keep us on track.
Okay. What do you think is the difference then between accountability and self-criticism? Because some people will, say, yeah, but I messed up that one day. I want to allow myself to still live and be flexible. And if I mess up here, I can just pick up and, let's go with the flow, basically.
I love it. Clement, let's talk about the brain, because I think that this gives us the clues to how we stay on track. It was my friend's 50th birthday. She lives in Somerset. I sent her a package. And as her husband was videoing her opening up this package, I was watching her face. Now imagine, to all your listeners, Clement, instead of opening up a package that you are expecting, imagine opening up a box. And in this box are 15 puppies and a cobra. Okay? And I watched your face as I said that, and you were like, ooh.
Yeah.
Our brains are magnets for negativity. And so in terms of personal accountability and keeping it real for ourselves, we need to work that much harder, because our brains are telling us you're not good enough. You fell off the wagon yesterday. You weren't able to do the last gym regime you committed to. And so when we are able to focus on those 15 puppies instead of the cobra, absolutely, the negativity bias has helped us to evolve. It's helped us to stay safe. It has a place. Mm-hmm. And how do we talk to ourselves in the most loving, kind way? Because we are, you're your own worst enemy. I often say, if you spoke to your friends the way you spoke to yourself, you'd have no friends. So this is hard to do on your own. So with your personal development, with helping to show up as the best version of yourself, we need some help.
Yeah. What about people who have tried it before? Oh, I've tried to be consistent. I've tried to hold myself accountable. I've tried to have an accountability partner, maybe on this weight journey of mine, or whatever the case is, whatever journey you are on, and you've got a particular goal. Or I've been procrastinating, but I've been pushing and I've failed. How do I start again? Because it's almost like when you start again, as you say, our brains tell us, you're going to fail again. We've been here before. What are the first things to do so that even those who have failed several times can still start again and hold themselves accountable?
Clement, I think that it's about attaching the goal to a bigger why. And weight loss is a classic example of this. I know that I've got a wedding in 3 weeks' time or in 3 months' time. I know that I can do, drop weight quickly and feel fabulous and then just put it back on straight after the event. Whereas if I attach it to the goal of being healthy and strong and fit longer term as opposed to just for a specific date, that's how I get to try again. And so I think that for your listeners for today, thinking about what it is that they would like to achieve for themselves, is it something to do with being healthy or fit? Is it making better choices around eating? Perhaps it's about spending more time with loved ones. Whatever that is, having a goal to work towards that's bigger than just something short term, that's how we get to be more successful in the longer term as opposed to just... And for those listeners that are going, I've tried this, I've tried that, it's time to try again.
Yeah, you can still get up and try again.
Absolutely.
So how do we bring in accountability partners? How does that work in the most effective way?
There's a lovely quote that says, you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. You're the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So depending on who you're surrounding yourself with and the influence that they have over you is depending on how you are going to be willing to show up. And so when it comes to accountability partners, looking at people who are authentically showing up for themselves. And you talk about procrastination, Clement. Another wonderful quote, Marcus Aurelius says, what gets in the way becomes the way. So if procrastination is getting in the way, then that becomes the way. And looping back to that brain, your brain's job is to keep you safe, not make you happy. We're needing to coach our brains through this. And again, that's easier to do with somebody as opposed to on your own.
011-883-0702 is the number to dial. You can share your thoughts with us about accountability. How do you hold yourself accountable? And do you have stuff that you've struggled with over the years where you've tried to have an accountability partner, or maybe during your healthy eating journey or exercise journey, or you wanted to spend more time with your wife or your family, you had a goal and you wanted to hold yourself accountable. Maybe you procrastinated a lot. What was it for you? And how did you get to achieve that goal through self-accountability or through an accountability partner? Or maybe share with us some of the things that you're struggling to wean off because you've just been struggling to hold yourself accountable on that. You can call us or send us a WhatsApp voice note.
Your office is more than just a place to work. It's a reflection of your success. At Desk and Chair, we help you elevate your workspace with locally manufactured desks and a wide range of chairs to suit your style and budget. Our expert consultants are with you every step of the way, from planning to delivery and assembly. Visit our showroom in Midrand or shop online at deskandchair.co.za. Desk and Chair. Think, feel, work better.
Want to celebrate Women's Day in style? Then get your tickets as Grammy Award-winning singers Anthony Hamilton and Joe Thomas come together to celebrate the incredible women of Mzansi on the 9th of August. Happening at the iconic DP World Wanderers Stadium in Sandton, they will be joined by South Africa's multi-award-winning singers. The incomparable Zonkes, Java and Vusinova. Get your tickets now on CompuTicket or webtickets.co.za. Brought to you by Soulful Night, Vertex Events, and 702.
Are you looking for deals you can't ignore? Get to Dis-Chem for great deals this winter for the whole family. Save a massive 400 Rand on the Gillette Fusion 5 Pro Cartridges 12-pack, now only 999 Rand 99. Get 20% off all Nutri-Men face care products and save 79 Rand 98 when you buy any 2 Sanex 500ml shower gels for just 100 Rand. Hurry, winter price cuts end 17 August. Only at Dis-Chem. Better health starts here.
Life is full of moments. Some are small.
Like me, Dad.
And some are big.
Like a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
For all those moments, there's the new Thabile H6 SUV. With upgraded style, a refined interior, and new innovative features, it's built for big moments.
And the little ones.
Discover the new GWM Thabile H6 from only 6,799 per month. Visit gwm.co.za for T's and C's and to book a test drive. GWM, go with more.
Hosted by Freedom Park in the city of Tshwane, 702 Walk the Talk hits the streets this Sunday. There are 702 families looking forward to enjoying a day of fun and the bars of walking with you. Presented by Made in Mzansi Events, you'll be entertained along the way by cultural and visual acts at the starting line and along the route, with Power Zone performers keeping spirits high along the route. Then, at the finish line, you'll get to enjoy performances from legendary artists on the main stage like Zola 7, Ishmael, and Amifaku, and Loa Ndlunkulu. Come with the 702 family. Come walk with us and experience the vibe. 702 Walk the Talk, hosted by Freedom Park in the city of Tshwane.
702.
Family Matters.
21 minutes after 11 o'clock. Let's start with your calls on 011-883 0702. We're taking your WhatsApps as well on 072 702 1702. We're talking about self-accountability this morning on our Family Matters feature, the importance of accountability in self-development. What are the things, the goals that you have had, and how have you been holding yourself accountable? What have you struggled with? Give us a call or send us a WhatsApp voice note. Let's start with Jabu, who's calling us from Kwaggafontein. Mendy, I'll ask you to please put on your headphones. Jabu, good morning.
How's it, my guys?
I'm all right, man. Go ahead.
I'm a gym fanatic. I'm very big on long distance running and gym, playing soccer. How I've decided to hold myself accountable is I'm not going to get myself new clothes if I don't reach a particular mile or target. And I have been struggling for the past 2-3 years. Worse is that I even own a gym. So I think this
and you have no excuse.
Yeah, I don't have excuse. I think this conversation is really helping me a lot. Just really say, you know what, dude, you got to dust yourself up and stop procrastinating, because I don't have an excuse, honestly. I have all the access, the gym, I can run and all that, and I have not been buying clothes for as long as time.
That's fascinating, Jabu. Thank you so much for your call in Kwaggafontein. That's a way that people hold themselves accountable. Yeah, does it work? Must you always promise yourself something? Can you use that as okay, if I do this, I successfully complete this run, or I go to gym, then, because sometimes I do that, I'll say I'll have my favorite dessert if I do my runs over this weekend. If not, then tough.
Absolutely. Having small things to look forward to can be really helpful. I'm curious about Jabu. I'm curious about whether he could find a friend or a group. You know, that's why if there's a class happening at a certain time, a spinning class or a boxing class, knowing that you are going with somebody, it's easier then to show up as opposed to on your own, and then you find excuses of what not to do. But yes, back to your point, Clement, I absolutely think that having a dessert to look forward to, or an item of clothes or some shoes, as long as it's not for every day, having something to work towards is really helpful.
Mm-hmm. You spoke earlier about speaking to maybe mantras that we have. How can you explain more on that? Is it something we should be doing every single morning? If this is something that will work for you, is it something you do once every week? How does it work?
Brené Brown is somebody that I follow who's played a very significant role in my life. And I guess you could call it a mantra or a quote. She says, when you put your head on your pillow at night, if you can say to yourself, whatever I've done and whatever I haven't done, I'm enough. And going back to the brain, Clement, we are that imposter syndrome, the negativity bias. We are our own worst enemies. And so if you can have a mantra like that, I'm doing the best that I can, I've got this, I'm going to get through this, even if I drop the ball, or even if I don't achieve what I want to achieve for today, tomorrow's a new day. I think if you can do something that feels right for you and almost rewire that brain instead of beating yourself up saying, let's try again tomorrow, I really believe that that's how we are able to show up differently.
Yeah, I've got a message here from Tabang who says, hi, Clement, and good morning to your guest as well. I think I take accountability towards myself harshly because I end up criticizing, blaming myself as well towards certain things on something like, how would I do such a stupid thing? How come I do this? And I end up consuming myself. Most of the time, I end up losing enthusiasm when I account to myself. Any advice for someone who feels like for them accountability somehow is criticizing, ends up in the blame game, so to speak?
So for that message, Clement, I would say to Tabang, would he be speaking to a close friend or somebody that he really cared about? Would you be talking to somebody else like that? And so almost like if you depersonalize it, speaking, like if I was speaking to you, I wouldn't be speaking to you the same way that I'm speaking to myself. So for Tabang, how would he be coaching a friend who's having a hard time to get back on to that goal, back onto the track and try again?
Yeah. So that's a message there from Tabang, yeah, and all the best there, Tabang. So I want us to also talk about accountability and what it looks like, perhaps in a romantic or in a parenting relationship.
Ooh.
How does that look like?
Now we're going deep, Clement, because it's one thing to do it with friends and colleagues. It's a whole nother conversation to do it in a romantic context with a partner, in the parenting space, because we are that much more invested. So perhaps the conversation around this is maybe you can't be an accountability person for your romantic partner or for your parent or for your child because it's just too close. I really believe that the closer you are, the more time that you spend with each other, the harder it is, because when we are elevated, when we are triggered, when we're threatened, say, for example, I've said to my partner, I'm going to go to gym 3 times this week. And then I get to Friday and I've only been once. And now my partner's like, you see, you said that you would be going to gym 3 times. All of a sudden, I then become defensive and say, but you don't know what kind of week I've had. It's too close. And so while we can do it in an encouraging way, I would say as soon as it becomes questioning or threatening, you're not the right person. Same with a parent. Many of us have got children writing exams right now. And for my 16-year-old who's been studying, if I go into her room and I notice that she's been on social media, the minute I say, yeah, but you said you would be studying, all of a sudden, now I'm the bad guy. And when we feel threatened, we go into those lower centers of our brain of attack, defend, fight, flight. And then it lands up compromising our relationship with those people that we love most in the world. So it's not to say that we can't keep it real. It's not but it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
It's how you say
exactly.
Because let's say there's a parent who realizes that perhaps their child, one of their children, have become overweight and they want to get them into the habit of the gym, and for them, holding them accountable means every day after school we go past the gym, for instance. So as a parent, I will take you to gym. I will gym as well, even though I don't need to, but because I want to get you into the habit. Is something like that help?
Absolutely. If you can do it alongside them, as opposed to, I'm just going to drop you off at the gym and go and do something else and then fetch you again, it then feels like, oh, now I'm doing this alone and I'm somehow being punished. Let's shift our relationship with accountability from pressure and punishment to choice.
Yeah. All right, it's going up to 9:30 now. 11:30, that is. Let's get the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. We're going to continue this conversation with Mandy Herald, who is a strength and leadership coach. Give us a call on 011-883-0702 and tell us how you are holding your partner accountable. How are you holding your children accountable, or maybe even your parents? How has that been like, and how has it impacted on your relationship? Let's hear now from Maki Mulapo. Good morning.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. At least a dozen Tembisa residents have been injured in running battles with police this morning. Officers have fired rubber bullets to disperse crowds protesting over the high cost of electricity. Residents have blocked main roads with debris, stones and burning tyres, while heavily armed officers have moved in to clear the streets. Some survivors of the George building collapse say they're happy with Public Works Minister Dean McPherson's assurances that those responsible for the tragedy will be held accountable. McPherson met with them over the weekend to present reports from the Council for the Built Environment and the Engineering Council of South Africa. Both entities investigated systemic failures that led to the multi-story building collapse, which claimed the lives of 34 construction workers in May last year. And in Kenya, prominent activist Boniface Mwangi is due in court facing accusations of facilitation of terrorist acts during last month's deadly anti-government protests in which at least 19 people died and 100 others were injured. Yesterday, investigators said they'd seized phones, a laptop and notebooks from Mwangi's Lukenya's home on the outskirts of the capital, Nairobi, and hard drives, computers, tear gas canisters and a blank firearm round from his office in the city. Those are the headlines. This Eyewitness News and more at midday or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Getting into details around what is happening in your traffic. Currently, there is an incident happening on the N1 northbound. This is at New Road. One lane has been closed. Then getting into your major incident for the morning. Still in Tembisa, we are seeing road blockages across your major roads. But now that is where I'm going to be leaving it if there's anything that I might have missed at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Did you know correctly insuring your business could give you an edge? Well, Business Outsurance are experts in business insurance for general practice, dental, surgical, and other medical specialities. Over 100,000 businesses across various industries trust Business Outsurance. So when you claim, your excess is a fixed amount, not a percentage of the claim. Get a quick and easy quote today. Call 08600 60,000 or visit outsurance.co.za. Licensed, insured, and FSP. T's and C's and information online.
With 9 branches throughout Gauteng, Chamberlain is famous for superb value since 1903. Join us from 17 July to 3 August for our Famous for Superb Value promotion, packed with unbeatable deals on everything you need to make your next DIY dream come true. Experience our new Montana Megastore, now bigger, better, and jam-packed, full of Chamber Value brand products. Chamberlain, famous for hardware since 1903.
My family's struggling with snotty noses and phlegmy coughs.
Oh no! Have you tried ACC?
ACC 600 is a convenient one-a-day effervescent tablet from 14 years of age, or now also in a no-water-needed, fruity-flavored sherbet-like granules that dissolve in your mouth. Ideal for the on-the-go adult. Ask for ACC 600 effervescent or oral powder at your nearest pharmacy to get rid of the snotties and flemmings. And trust, if it doesn't say ACC, it's not ACC.
PG Glass Repair, PG Glass Replace.
Hi, I'm Komodo, PG Glass Technician. At PG Glass, we keep your windscreen chip-free and crystal clear.
Choose PG Glass, quality you can trust. Visit pg.co.za.
702 and corporates that care with Butter are talking about Butter Children's Program.
We've run school donations, volunteer days. We have about 82 people in our head office in KZN. They frequently go down to the Malvern Children's Home. The Malvern Children's Home is a home for orphans that we've adopted basically in the KZN region. We've assisted them with jungle gyms, water tanks, stationery, libraries. We've built a library for them, as mentioned. Unfortunately, the Malvern's Children's Home has a R1 million debt, water and electricity debt.
Sure.
So we've created a GoFundMe page, and a portion of the proceeds from our Mandela Day shoe sales will go towards this cause. So when corporates choose Toughies for their Mandela Day giving, they're not just buying the school shoes, they're helping children keep their home running.
From jungle gyms to school supplies and life-changing donations, Bata is building brighter futures. Visit bata.co.za to learn more. 702, let's walk the talk.
Coming up
On 702 Afternoons,
25 minutes before 12 o'clock, we're going to get back into our conversation about the importance of accountability in self-development with Mandy Herald, who's a strength and leadership coach. But first, let's find out what's coming up on 702 Afternoons with Jono, who's standing in for Relebohile. How are you doing, Jono?
I'm good. Clem, yourself?
I'm all right, man. What's popping today?
Yeah, lovely. So open line, we're going to start off with a tweet that I saw from a woman who basically said that she's had to take her child out of private school and put them into a government school, and very, very surprised at how wonderful it is and some of the pros that she spotted, and perhaps wishes that she had done it sooner. So I wanted to ask people about this experience. Have you moved your child out of a private school and put them into a government school, and what are the noticeable differences, the pros and the cons that you have discovered? Then for the travel feature, which is always on a Monday, we're going to be talking to Gabby Brondani, a travel writer and correspondent on the show. And if you're keen on traveling to Asia, she's going to talk to us about some of the Asian countries that you should be traveling to, when the best time to go, and how you get there. And then after that, we'll also have the movies with Phil Mpela. He'll talk to us about some of the stuff that he's been streaming and some of the stuff that's been released. And after 2 o'clock, it's the regular feature as well, Parenting and Parents. We're going to be talking about the generation connection crisis. So a lot of the youngsters today are struggling with interpersonal communication. So they're used to communicating with each other via their devices, via computers, and not so much in terms of face-to-face and personal comms. And that's a struggle, especially when they move up into the workplace and all the complications that come with that. So we're going to be talking to Marco Stravo. He's the founder and CEO of GenLink, and he'll chat to us a little bit about this and what you can look out for and things to have a chat to with your child in terms of communicating via their devices all the time. And then after 2:30, Naked Scientist is not with us today, so we're going to be talking to Dr. Judy Pretorius about burns, bites, cuts, and all that kind of stuff to ensure that you make your skin heal a lot better and faster with no scars and all the kind of things that you need to identify with bites and burns.
All right, that's what's coming up on 702 Afternoons with Jonathan Kabazela, who's in for Relebohile between 1 and 3 p.m.
702
Family Matters.
And we continue our conversation with Mandy Herald about the importance of accountability. What happens, Mandy, if we aren't holding ourselves accountable? What are the consequences of that?
The consequences of us not holding ourselves accountable is that we are not achieving our full potential. And I know that that might seem like, what does that even mean? We default back to those settings. Our brains are pattern seeking. So if you live a fairly sedentary life, if you don't exercise, if you choose to eat foods that are not nourishing, if you choose to binge watch Netflix till, 1 o'clock in the morning, if you keep defaulting back to things that just feel comfortable and give you a little dopamine hit, you're establishing patterns that ultimately are not serving you. Maybe they feel fine in the short term, and obviously in moderation they are great. But what happens when we are consistently making choices that don't support our mental and physical and emotional well-being is that we are then become just a loop of what we don't necessarily want to do.
Yeah. And does it help us with dealing with like maybe future regrets? So how does self-accountability contribute to building emotional resilience, especially in moments where there's failure or there's regret or disappointment that we deal with in the future?
So let's hover over that in terms of, again, the brain. The brain forecasts disaster, right? So if you're thinking about your emotional well-being in the future, your financial well-being, your relationship well-being in the future, say you're having a really wonderful time. Your brain, it's called foreboding joy. You look at what's not going to work. Say, for example, you're thinking, oh my goodness, what could go wrong here? And so how does this come back to personal accountability and personal development and growth? By making short-term decisions, by making choices in day-to-day, that's how we get to rewire that brain to show up for the person that we want to be. The habits talk about how you make choices for your future self, for the person that you want to be.
Mm-hmm. I've got a message here from, is it Anonymous, who says, "Hi Clement, it's easier for me to take accountability if there's an end goal. Back in 2023, I lost 10 kilograms before my 30th birthday, but it's so hard now to lose the 5 other kgs, and I cannot get why. What could be the reason to this, and what could I do differently?" That's a question there from Anonymous. So Anonymous says it's easier for them to take accountability if there's an end goal. And in 2023, they lost 10 kilograms before their 30th birthday, but it's now hard to lose the 5 other kilometers now. And I cannot get why. Could there be a reason to that? I mean, if you've managed to lose 10 kilograms before your 30th birthday, that's quite a huge success. So why would it be difficult to just lose now the 5 kgs?
That's a great question, and I'm just wondering what else could be happening. Is it perhaps something physical? Is it blood sugars? When last did Anonymous maybe go to their GP for a checkup? Is it sometimes we plateau with weight loss, in which case it could be something else playing a role.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes the obvious responsibilities change as well. Maybe you were able to push for the 30 kilograms, losing them back then because maybe you didn't have children. Maybe you were still at university or you're still new at work, so no extra responsibilities. But it's still possible. You can do this, Anonymous. All the best.
Yes.
And then there was another question also about how individuals can avoid falling into the trap of harsh self-judgment while still holding themselves accountable. I know we touched a little bit on this, where people end up being negative. So how can I be intentional about not falling into that harsh self-judgment mode? Because it's very easy to do that.
The way that I would say, Clement, is to get out of your head and get into your body. The quickest way to stop that loop of self-judgment, self-doubt, self-criticism is to have a change of scenery. So even if that means that if I'm at my desk at work and I'm having a moment of self-judgment and criticism, if you can pause, take a deep breath, go outside, take another deep breath, look up at the sky, change your scenery, get out of your head and get into your body. Because that head, that brain, I've said it again, I've said it before, I'm going to say it again, is a magnet for negativity. Clement, they say on average we have about 60,000 thoughts a day. And of those, most of them are negative and repetitive. It's exhausting. So how do you get out of that loop? Change the scenery, get into your body, do some deep breathing, play some music, listen to a podcast, tune into 702, give yourself some love.
Yeah. What are the risks, though, of raising children in an environment where there is no accountability, or maybe that accountability is only enforced through blame? So you end up attaching accountability to blame. And what is the impact of that, especially on the children you're raising?
the impact on that is that the relationship that you have with that child there's a disconnect. And so what happens then with accountability is instead of seeing it as like encouragement and cheerleading, it sort of feels like a carrot or a stick. And so, my background is in education. I worked in schools for 20 years, I've coached many, many parents. And the thing about permanent behavior change is that the relationship between the parent and the child, that's the most, the short term, do your homework, study, go to gym, those are all kind of short-term conversations. The longer term is what kind of relationship do you want to have with your child as they enter adulthood and as they become parents themselves, possibly. So coming back to accountability and how we see that as cheerleading as opposed to punishment all depends on intention. What do you want for your child? And how do you encourage them to be the best version of themselves as opposed to criticizing or punishment or using that critical inner voice? That also depends on where you are at.
Mm-hmm. So for a parent who says, I want to juggle between the two and balance between accountability, but I also want to be gracious enough to know that for the child to know that it's not the end of the world, you can try again. So they don't want to be too soft. They still want to make sure you are held accountable, but they don't also want to really be negative and say, this is your punishment. Is it important maybe to have a conversation with your kids about the accountability for actions? Like, so they know that when you do something like this, this is how you get punished, for instance, or this becomes the result, and that's the accountability we're going to push for, as opposed to the children didn't even know what could come, and they find out when they've made a mistake.
Absolutely. This is a bigger conversation, Clement, because consequences, like effective consequences, need two ingredients: reflection and ownership. And so you can't spring something on your child, or sorry, you failed your maths test, so now you can't go out this weekend, without having an agreement ahead of time. And so if you are able to sort of scaffold your children's learning and accountability with smaller steps that help them get there along the way, as opposed to just bombing on them at the end of the day when they haven't done what they've said that they're going to do. That's how we set, like, it's those scaffolding. It's the walking the journey with them, which is hard, Clement. Parents are overwhelmed. They are holding down full-time jobs. They're stretched. They're stressed. And so that's when we can bring in other partners, whether it's in the school environment, your local community, a church, friendships, whatever it is. That's how we build that community with accountability.
Yeah, and there's obviously, I would imagine, a correlation between personal development and career advancement or even professional success.
Absolutely, because the way that you show up for yourself every day in your personal life is going to impact how you show up professionally. And if you just, like, for example, if I've said, no, I'm going to go to gym or I'm going to eat healthier, and I consistently drop that ball or say, oh, no, don't worry, we'll just let it go this time, chances are that at work, when there's a deadline or something else that you've said that you're going to show up for, there is a correlation, I believe. Maybe not. Maybe you say, well, I'm going to save my energy for the workspace because that's got bigger consequences. I believe that there's a balance in the way that we can do both.
How can we then learn to receive feedback from others without being defensive, especially if we're going to have accountability partners, people who are trying to help us in our journey to achieve whatever goal that we've set for ourselves? Because sometimes it's easy for us. Again, our brains always think they're protecting us, so we get on defense mode a lot of times.
Clement, at the end of the day, we need to take ultimate responsibility, because no one can make you angry without your permission. No one can make anybody else change. And so taking that personal responsibility, you talk about taking offense. Listen to how you've said that, taking offense. Offense is taken, not given. And I think that we could do a lot more work around giving and receiving feedback, knowing that if somebody really cares about you and they want you to be the best version of yourself, then that's again in the relationship, coming back to the parent-child. You want to encourage and be a cheerleader for people to be the best version of themselves, and within balance as well. There are times, getting back to that parent-child relationship, where the child needs to have some kind of autonomy. They need to have a little bit of flexibility and freedom. It can't just be this, my way or the highway. And so, I know we're talking about a lot of different things here. Coming back to personal development and personal accountability, at the end of the day, you are the only person that you can be responsible for.
It's going up to 11 minutes before 12 o'clock. We'll come back and wrap up this chat with Mandy Herald. I'll also put through some of your questions if you have any, or WhatsApps 072-702-1702. What's your relationship with accountability? How does it help you in your personal development? How does it help you when you hold others accountable?
Dear Journal, trying to be an adult, day 3274. Every time I go to a fancy birthday dinner, I'm reminded I'm just 5 fancy birthday dinners away from financial ruin. Note to self, don't make any more born in June friends.
Recently removed from the family payroll? Get covered at pineapple.co.za. It's like 570 Rand a month, so it's 100% the insurance for you. Underwritten by Old Mutual Alternative Risk Transfer Insurer Limited, licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. Premiums are risk profile dependent.
When selling a car, there is nothing worse than a long, frustrating process. We Buy Cars knows life's short and time is precious. So sell your car within a day from wherever you find it convenient. Simply complete the online form and We Buy Cars will make it happen. If you need a new ride, well, explore thousands of vehicles online or in-store. We Buy Cars, South Africa's trusted vehicle partner.
Hi. I need balloons.
Sure.
Now. My dog barked. Pretty sure he said potty.
Okay.
He was like...
At the Crazy Store, you'll find every excuse to celebrate.
Hi, me again. My houseplant survived another week. Where's your confetti?
And everything you need. Helium, gift wrap, dress up, and more. The Crazy Store. Hey, you never know what you might find. To have a good party.
702.
Family Matters.
It's 9 minutes before 12 o'clock. On our Family Matters feature this morning, we've been discussing accountability, the importance of accountability in self-development. Are there various internal barriers, Mandy, that people face when they want to be accountable to themselves? And what are some of the barriers, especially for people who are listening to us now and are thinking, I want to give this thing a shot, I want to hold myself accountable. What are some of the things they can sort of anticipate so they know how to deal with it as they try and show accountability for self?
Those barriers are all in your head. So if you're listening to this now and you're thinking, I'm too young, I'm too old, I'm not fit enough, don't have enough experience, Clement, it's so helpful to remember that all thoughts are made up. So these are just stories that you are telling yourself. And if you can tell yourself a story that is not true, you can also tell yourself a story that is. That it's never too late, that you can change your behavior. I'm sure that we all know crazy stories of people that were not fit, who'd never sort of exercised, and who go from sitting on the couch to running a marathon within the space of a year. Our brains and our bodies are absolutely incredible. And if we've got the right support and the right structure, the sky is the limit.
How do we support people who've got goals, who want to hold themselves, or they want us to help them hold themselves accountable to reach their goal? Because sometimes as accountability partners, we can be harsh and rude, as you said earlier. You said you would be doing this and that, and you failed to do it. So how do we support those that have made goals like that?
In my group accountability, I do group coaching, Clement, and sometimes you need those gentle encouragements, and sometimes you need more firm nudges of what does support look like for you right now. So I think before you decide on what it is, how you're going to encourage the person, ask them where they're at. And so if somebody's come to you and said, can you help me? And now you're on a 3-month journey with them, if they are having a particularly tough time, it's important to remember that you never know what's going on in other people's lives, in their heads, in their hearts. And so just checking in with them ahead of time. Is this a day that you need some gentle encouragement, or is this a day that you need...
So ask them first.
Exactly. So what kind of day are you having, Clement? Do you need some gentle encouragement, or do I need to give you a kick in the rear end to get you going? And so again, you're checking in with that person. You're saying, where are you at right now and what do you need? What does support for you look like? Because at the end of the day, you know yourself best. And so instead of making an assumption of this is what you need, check in with the person. And if they're having an off day or they're having a tough time, then check in with them again tomorrow or the next day. Let's keep it real.
Okay. And then how about starting small? Because, some of us, when we want to practice this accountability thing, we then start big.
Yes.
But you haven't started with the smallest
Exactly.
of things. So what's your advice to those who are about to begin so that they're just aware?
Let's think about habit stacking. So what are things that you do every single day, anyway, that you can add on something small to? A very dear friend of mine, Joni Peddy, talks about how when you boil the kettle to make a cup of tea, you could do a few squats. And so that's something that you can do. Instead of saying, I'm going to gym for an hour and a half, just do 3 squats while you are brushing your teeth. Think about setting an intention, having a mantra, I've got this. And so when we think about habit stacking, instead of starting big, let's start small. Instead of doing an hour, do 5 minutes, because those 5 minutes done consistently over time, that's the compound stacking.
All right. How do people get a hold of you?
My email address is hello@mandyherald.com or mandyherald.com. I'm also the connection coach on Instagram and TikTok.
All right. Mandy, thank you so much for coming through and guiding us through this important conversation.
Yeah, Boga.
It's 4 minutes before 12 o'clock.
Coming up
on the Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
All right, coming up next is the Midday Report with Mandy Wiener. She's back after 2 weeks of having lots of fun in the UK. How are you doing?
I'm broken.
To be back? Well, we missed you.
Thank you.
Did
I
you
missed
enjoy
being
London,
on air.
though?
I did, but you really appreciate the impact of a weak currency when you travel in Europe.
Right?
Yo. Yeah.
That is
But
true.
it was fun. It was really fun.
Enjoyed
But
some
it's always
tennis
good
as
to be home.
well.
Yeah. I went to Wimbledon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Actually, yeah, she must stop it. Tell us what's coming up on the show.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to tell. What's coming up? You caught me unprepared. I thought we were chatting what's coming up on the show. So we are going to speak about the situation in Tembisa, what's happening there at the moment, and also the fact that the mayor of Ekurhuleni is holding a meeting with community members. Lots of tension around the GNU at the moment. And this could be the last week of the GNU. Who knows? We never know. Every week is another week. But we know that part of the budget needs to be passed this week. The IFP also holding a press conference today on that. Fly Safair has cancelled 26 flights as those pilots are on strike. So I'm going to Cape Town. Yeah, I've got a flight to Cape Town this week. I've just cancelled my Fly Safair flights and bought flights in another airline for twice the price.
Yes, that's what I looked last night because I was trying to also move the flight and I realized how crazy they are.
Yeah.
But the sooner you do it, probably the better.
But I had no choice, otherwise I would miss the midday report. So,
Yeah.
And then the junior Springboks have arrived home to a victory celebration. I'm busy watching on TV at the moment at OR Tambo International Airport.
So one of the things that I appreciated about you, even when you're on holiday, is that you can still reflect on current affairs here. I don't know how you do that. But when Mkhwanazi held that press briefing, and of course the president issuing establishing a commission of inquiry, and you've reported a lot about shenanigans within our security apparatus. One, I imagine you are not surprised by this, but two, where do you see this ending up?
So you should listen to the midday report today. I'll give you some analysis. But having said that, I've written 2 books about this, Killing Cable and Ministry of Crime. A lot of the players are the same, but essentially the fundamentals are the same. And this is exactly what you need for a mafia state to thrive, is this nexus between business, politics, and organized crime. And that's what we're seeing here again, is that nexus. And in order for corruption to thrive, that's exactly what you need, is you need police officials that are working in collaboration with business people, legitimate business people. You need politicians that are involved, and then you need that criminal enterprise as well. And that's effectively what we're seeing here. History and context are so important.
Yeah.
This hasn't happened in isolation.
Yeah, absolutely. How do we then dismantle that system so that we have South Africans who are always going to know that they are safe? Mandy, looking forward to more analysis on the midday report. Thank you for coming through and welcome back. Thanks to you for watching the Monday edition, listening to the Monday edition of the Clement Manyathela Show. We'll be back tomorrow between 9 and 12. Have a beautiful day, my friends. Bye-bye.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Maki Molapo. We begin in the East Rand, where Ekurhuleni Mayor Dr. Xhakaza is set to address protesting Tembisa residents over the electricity tariffs. It follows a morning of demonstrations where at least a dozen residents in the area were injured after police fired rubber bullets to disperse crowds protesting over the high cost of electricity. Residents have blocked main roads with debris, stones and burning tires, while heavily armed officers have moved in to clear the streets. Mungezi Koko has more from Tembisa.
Tembisa residents have accused police officers deployed to quell tensions in the area of using unnecessary
What did they do? They broke my mother's window, and my mom was literally sleeping in her bedroom. A lot of people in my yard got hurt. Even my uncle, even my friend got hurt. For what?
The residents are frustrated about newly introduced electricity tariffs, saying the high costs make it difficult to keep the lights on. In response, Ekurhuleni Mayor Dr. Xhakaza has called an emergency meeting to finalize a report on potential remedies to the controversial electricity hikes. Mungi Zikoko, Eyewitness News, Tembisa.
Low-cost airline FlySafe is prioritizing refunds for passengers who need to make alternative travel arrangements. It has cancelled some flights today due to a pilot strike, leaving passengers stranded at some of the country's major airports. Union Solidarity is demanding a 10% increase, rest time and leave benefits. The company has offered a 5.7 salary increase, which has been rejected by the union. FlySafe spokesperson Kirby Gordon has encouraged travellers to check the status of their flights before heading to the airport.
And all details on those flights are available on the travel updates page on our website. So if your flight is not listed on that travel updates page, it has not been impacted by any of the cancellations. Of course, our teams are all on standby to assist customers with any changes or rebookings.
In the Western Cape, some survivors of the George building collapse say they're happy with Public Works Minister Dean McPherson's assurances that those responsible for the tragedy will be held accountable. McPherson met with them over the weekend to present reports from the Council for the Built Environment and the Engineering Council of South Africa. Both entities investigated systematic failures that led to the multi-story building collapse, which claimed the lives of 34 construction workers in May last